What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever RSL Finals. I'm Tasteless, joined with me is State. How's it going, buddy?
I am so excited, Tasteless. It has been 3 weeks of a lot of action. You know, 4-day weeks, 12 days of StarCraft 2. We're concluding it all today. We're going to crown the first champion of the RSL. Is it going to be Classic? Is it going to be Clem? I cannot wait to get started.
This could not be a better finals, if we're going to be honest here. Former GSL champion versus the former world champion here with Clem. It's been an interesting road to get here. We had Classic going only through Terrans to get this far. Clem going down to the loser's bracket. He fought very well in a bunch of different matchups, including playing Protoss.
Yeah,
to beat Cure to get here is going to be switching back into Terran. I think this should be a real back and forth.
Yeah, it's gonna be a close series. I think I would be very surprised to see a 4-0 or even a 4-1. As it is right now, Classic, his PVT has been pretty phenomenal. You know, we just casted GSL Season 2, where he rode to a championship largely on the back of his PVZ, and now in the RSL in the playoffs, he took down Beyond in the first series. After that, I believe it was Clem, and then it was Cure. Cure was a 4-0 win. And it just feels like he's kind of the complete package right now. But you know, Clem, he is the reigning world champion. It's very hard to count this guy out.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get started, guys, we are very proud to be sponsored by archonstudio. They're our official broadcast partner for Season 1 of the RSL. They're working on the StarCraft tabletop miniatures game. Now, this isn't out yet, but it's going to be available for pre-order later this year. Because of their support, we were able to double the prize pool here at the RSL, which we're very happy about. And I would recommend you go to their site. I wasn't really familiar with archonstudio before they got in contact with us. They've got a ton of great products. I'm not just excited for the StarCraft miniatures game that's going to be coming out soon, but a lot of their other products and the franchises they've represented are awesome.
Yeah, it's very exciting to have them partnered up with us on the RSL. And if you want to partner with us too, you can go to patreon.com/ReviveSC2. We have a ton of different tiers available, as well as different perks. You know, fans have voted for players to join the RSL. They have voted for a lot of the really interesting maps that we've had so far in this season. So we welcome your support being part of us, part of our journey.
Yeah, we will continue to carry the torch here for StarCraft 2 after EWC. I know there's been a little bit of uncertainty about what is going to be happening next here for StarCraft 2 with competitive play. Well, we're definitely going to have you guys covered in our long-form seasonal tournament where you can really unpack some of the best games from some of the best players in the whole world. So consider signing up for the Patreon. Your support is greatly appreciated.
And of course, if you're a Patreon supporter, not only do you get to support the RSL, you also get a 20% discount. What?
20%? No, this is madness. That's stealing.
You got to take this thing down, man. That's got to be a typo. It's supposed to be 2%,
yeah,
right?
No, that
20.
can't be right. No, my merch is too cheap.
But yeah, if you guys want to join us, you got hoodies, you got mugs, shirts, pins, everything a gamer needs.
Yes.
Everything above the waist.
Yes, we don't have underpants yet, but we're working on it. We got a bunch of great stuff on the merch shop, and it's just another way to support our tournament. So yeah, definitely go to tastelessreds.com and check that out. And we also, you know, if you can't sign up for the Patreon or you can't buy any merch, that's okay. What you can do is follow our YouTube channel, or I guess subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's at Revive SC2. We are pretty quickly growing the YouTube, but the more the merrier, right? StarCraft 2 performs very well in the YouTube algorithm, so we just want to get a bunch of eyeballs on our VODs, a bunch of likes, all that, so that we can continue to reach as many people as possible, as this tournament is still very new. We're also on X. The team has been great about keeping everybody updated on X, so we can follow all the RSL news over there.
Yeah, the RSL team's done a great job, not just on X, but also having that new spoiler-free playlist on the YouTube. If you guys want to check that out, as we take a quick look back at Season 1 and how we got here. And I mean, Classic all the way coming in. 3-2 over Beyond, 3-1 over Clem, 4 over Kier. This guy just keeps getting better at PvT, and it feels like there's basically no holes in his play. But as we saw from Clem, I mean, he took down Kier with his PvT. He's one of the best PvT players in the world. He is arguably the best Terran player in the world. And so I feel like if anybody can solve Classic's, you know, safe, solid defensive style in a best of 7, it might just be Clem right here.
Yeah, this has been wild. Seeing how strong Classic's PvT is, he's got a very kind of slow, steady, conservative approach to the game where he's going to get for a fairly early Psystorm. We have seen him go for Colossi with Thermal Lance as well early on, but basically just accumulates different types of splash damage, never really necessarily attacks into the Terran, just keeps growing. And a lot of times you just see the Terran running into a wall over and over and over again. Clem, you know, he did take a game off of Classic earlier, and even though it was a 3-1 where Classic, you know, obviously came out on top here, he's in the winner's bracket, Clem did put up a pretty good fight in each of those games. So I guess the big question I'm asking myself here is how exactly is Clem going to adjust and modify his play style so that he's more viable here against Classic? Because one thing that's been clear about Classic in this tournament is that he's got a formula that he's working with. He doesn't really care if you know what he's going to do because he's so good at doing it, so bulletproof, so solid, that it kind of doesn't matter. So how will Clem take him down?
Yeah, and what's been really impressive for me from Classic is that, you know, basically every game he is playing defensive up until he goes to 3 or 4 bases. He's liking that, you know, passive, macro-oriented style, but he has kind of a range within that style. It is not literally the same copy-paste build from Game 1 all the way to, say, Game 4, Game 7.
Right.
In a long series like this one, we have seen him mix in Phoenix openers. Sometimes he goes for a really fast third if he thinks he can get away with it. Sometimes, instead of a fast third, you might see him really hunker down on 2 bases, get a robotics facility up for some extra robo units, go for Storm before even taking that 3rd Nexus, and that's probably the most challenging thing for a player like Clem, to look at Classic's playstyle and be like, okay, well, how do I break this down? Because Classic is just so good at making these very tiny adjustments on the fly.
Yeah, and you know, with Clem, he doesn't tend to SCV pull all in very often, at least in a lot of the games that I cast. Doesn't mean he can't do it here, but also Classic seems to be pretty immune to that, especially if it's like a 2-base Storm into a 3rd base. Either way, I expect these to be pretty long games. I don't think there's going to be anything too cheesy, at least on the Protoss side of things. and it looks like we're actually ready to get into Game 1 here in the grand finals of the RSL.
Clem spawning here in the top left as the red Terran, Classic in the bottom left as the blue Protoss, as this best of 7 grand final in RSL Season 1 is going to be kicking off. I cannot wait to get into the action here in game number 1. I am so curious about what Clem is going to do. That we have seen Classic just do build after build of these very slight deviations of this safe standard play, reminiscent of, you know, Rain in his peak in StarCraft 2, Stats in his peak in StarCraft 2, and there always is the potential in a grand finals like this one for someone like Classic to mix it up and start getting a little bit aggressive, but you know, I was thinking the same thing when he went against Rogue in the GSL Grand Finals. I was thinking, okay, eventually the mix-up is going to come in, and it never did, and he was still the champion. So it's just, oh man, I cannot wait for this series to unravel and see exactly what we have in store.
You know, it's funny, you were talking about Rain or, you know, players like Stats in the past. They were the defining macro defensive Protoss players. You know, there's always memes that Protoss is kind of a cheesy or a deceptive race, you know, and it's not always been true, actually. You know, we've had eras where the most solid conservative players that really just kind of tech and push and grow on the map are the best in the world. And it went away. It went away for, I want to say, maybe 6 years. We didn't really see that much of it. The best Protoss in the world were instead players like Hero, who were explosive, who could mix things up, who even if you knew they were going to cheese you, you didn't know what kind of cheese it was going to be. And, you know, you'd end up losing anyways. But now with Classic, at least within the frame of PVT, he is proving that he can absolutely slow cook the game into a situation where the Terran really can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and I feel like he has been maybe the most impressive Protoss in terms of utilizing the new tools available, specifically energy recharge with hallucinated phoenixes. He makes these very slight adjustments in his build that, you know, if you're not really looking out to it, it might just look like the same game being played over and over and over again, where he goes into Storm, he goes into a third base, eventually he'll go in for Colossi, but he does it in a way where he knows that his opponent, the Terran, can't really exploit any of the weaknesses that he's creating because there are none. You know, he's just completely rock solid. I'm thinking back to some of the other PVTs that we've seen Classic play over the course of the RSL. And, you know, for example, when Protoss players generally take a third or fourth base if they open Storm, you kind of want to make a Colossus transition come through eventually, right?
Right.
I feel like Classic has been very aggressive with that transition, going into a fast second robotics facility, a fast robo bay, and usually that is a moment of weakness before those units come online where the Protoss player can get punished. Classic basically never gets punished.
Yeah, the first Adept is going to come in here. He'll get the confirm that he sees there's a command center being made. Right now, everything looks very standard. It's all by the book so far as build orders go. Terran is trying to get the expansion up, and I think we're probably going to have a Widow Mine drop. We see a second Widow Mine being made and a medevac. It's going to be the Blink upgrade, which is also about as standard as it comes here in the matchup. And the Blink is basically to let you defend pretty easily. The Adept narrowly escapes that, being able to shade away.
Yeah, shading back to the natural expansions, shield battery, and we'll see what this Widow Mine drop coming in from Clem is going to be able to get done. Behind it, Tech Lab immediately dropping both on the factory and on the starport. So I think there is potential for some Banshee play, but I'm kind of expecting just Raven and Siege Tank here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Now, this is all predictable, the Widow Mine drop coming in here. If this gets any more than 2 probes, it's going to be a fairly big deal because players like Classic are so perfect at defending. So it's going to glide through here now. First unload, and oh my god, he actually, for a split second, oh, that's so funny. It was targeting the probes that were going in and out of the gas geyser, and so it wasn't able to ever get the shot off. Funny interaction there. Yeah, but for a split second, it looked like Classic wanted to dive on it with the workers, and he did it again, actually. I thought, especially that time, that was a questionable move.
I think it's, if the burrow's just a little bit late there by Clem, especially with the first drop in the mineral line, you can kind of worker drill on top of it.
Yeah.
And just one-shot it with the probes, then you miss basically no mining time, right? So.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it seems, if I were to do it, I guarantee it would be a complete failure. I would lose like every single worker, but when it's somebody with crisp control of Classic, I mean, it's just. He's willing to take that slight risk for the potential reward. And look at how safe this is, by the way, Tasteless. War Prism coming in, Templar Archives, additional gateways too. all before the third Nexus.
Yeah, so a lot of Protosses take a third base around now. But what Classic's done in an adjustment to his build is he's basically racing into the Psystorm tech. And he doesn't really care that his third is going to be late because he can't be killed on 2 bases. And once the storm's done, he can't be killed on 3 bases. That being said, Terran could be sizing up for a push in a little bit here. We saw Raven was made. That could be handy for shutting down auto turrets if that's what he wants to go for. Or, just trying to, armor debuff the Protoss army during the push. But yeah, this game so far is going exactly how we said it probably would.
Yeah, and it's just exceptional safety from Classic. Before that third Nexus goes down, we have 5 gateways, Charge, and Storm all researching.
Wow. So this is kind of funny because usually in a game, one person is maybe a little bit ahead in bases, but the other player is kind of angling to punish him because that new base that he gets doesn't have enough workers to really take advantage of that and do a push. But instead, we have both sides powering pretty heavily. The third Nexus does start, but this is a very late third Nexus, which, by the way, I kind of like. Is he going to get this?
Oh, it's so low on HP.
He doesn't have enough for an auto turret to go underneath that.
Yeah, there's 2 more Marines, but I think there's just barely enough room in between these 2 expansions for the recall to come in. If that Warp Prism had gone down, that would be huge right there for Clem.
3 Stalkers and a Sentry? Did I see that correctly in the drop?
I think it was like 2 Stalkers and an Adept, or 3 Stalkers and an Adept, something like that.
I don't know why I thought there was a Sentry in there. I thought, God, I don't think I've ever seen that. Interesting. Okay, so we got the repair coming up here on the medevac. That late third base is going to finish. And even though the pacing of this has been a little bit slow, what eventually happens, and by the way, it's very unlikely that Classic's going to try to push out and attack it in the game. What he wants to do is just eventually, when he has all this tech up, just keep taking bases. And eventually he'll outgrow the Terran so much that there's not a whole lot the Terran can do. And we could even get into a base trade because the Protoss is willing to give up bases because he has so many more. There's a huge drop coming out here, and he did also push out in the front. So he's trying to make it look like this is a push from the front, but in fact, it's going to be a drop coming in here on the side.
And Classic is anticipating this. Oh my goodness, the Star Sense out of Classic. He has 6 Stalkers in position to 2-shot 2 of those medevacs. The third one is able to fully unload, but a lot of damage done right now. Clem is going to go maybe into the main base, but all of the wind just completely out of the sails. And with a storm and a feedback, that medevac is also going to fall. Wow, what an exchange for Classic.
Watching his Templar fight while getting healed by the shield battery is kind of a funny sight to see. And now, okay, that's it. He just taps out. Dude. Okay, so he was completely prepared to just blind counter the drop. Like, he was just ready to go. I liked what Clem was doing. What he does is he pushes out initially with an army that looks pretty threatening, right? And a lot of times that's going to force the Protoss to assemble their whole army to try to fight that, to force siege mode, to delay the push. And then what happens is the drop gets into the main. And what Clem wants to do is try to just slow down development for Classic to where he can eventually wind up with a big attack that would then end the game, but it didn't happen there.
Yeah, I'm so curious what it was that clued Classic in that there would probably be a big drop coming.
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure because you kind of do expect there to be some drop play coming through when you open the way that Classic did because, again, it was like 5 gateways, Charge and Storm, all before third Nexus. Clem is not going to be attacking that from the front. If you want to get damage done, you're going to be going for a drop. So maybe it was just that calculation.
Well, also, you both spawn. That's a weird map because you're both on the left side, right?
Right.
Which means, like, there's only really one way to get into the main. When you have maps in diagonal spawns, sometimes there's a little bit more of a guessing game, right? If you try to hard counter a drop on one side of the map and you're completely out of position, it's really bad, right? But I guess on that spot, there's always going to be this clear lane the medevacs would take to go there. But blind counter or not, maybe there was something that telegraphed the drop earlier that we missed. But, I mean, Classic was completely prepared.
Yeah, guys, again, if you want to be a part of supporting the RSL here as we finish wrapping up Season 1, we welcome you to join us at patreon.com/ReviveSC2.
Yeah, we no longer, the StarCraft as a game doesn't have the same kind of publisher support that it had before, so it's going to be in the hands of the community to decide what kind of future StarCraft 2 has. We've already had a great amount of support. You guys mean the world to us. If you haven't signed up already, consider doing so. We have different tiers depending on what you can afford. The higher the tiers, the more you're going to get out of the experience on the Patreon, including the rights to vote. You can get your name in the credits here at the end of the show, and we're getting closer and closer to our goal of actually doing an offline event. So we would basically rent out one of these big esports arenas or studios here in Seoul and host an event where you could come down and watch live. We're going to take a short little break here in the finals. When we come back, we're going to go to Game 2 with Classic versus Clem. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We just wrapped up Game 1. I'm joined here with Gemini. State is off the desk for now. And I don't know, what did you think about that game?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I think it was a lot of what we come to expect from Classic overall. I mean, he's been doing very good with those styles. I thought it just ended so quickly, that one game, just suddenly, just like he catches the double drop, which was like such a cinematic moment as well. Like the drops like coming in and then suddenly the Blink Stalkers come from the bottom. We didn't actually see that on the screen just yet. And it was just like, oh my God. Like, and then the game just kind of ended 30 seconds later with just an immaculate defense. So yeah, it was kind of fun in that regard, but also unexpected for that to just suddenly wipe Clem off the map in like 7 minutes.
Normally you can see the trajectory of the game and you're like, okay, it looks like he's going to win. Maybe this will be turned around. That game like suddenly ended. And you know, when you think about it, there's not much that can go worse than just having in the mid game your medevacs full of units sniped.
Yeah.
Because you're not trading. It's not like stuff's fighting and maybe someone gets the upper hand and wins the exchange. It's like you just lost everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can't really say that I blame Clem for tapping out after that because he knows exactly what Classic's going to do. Classic's not going to then take his army and attack across the map. He's going to take 2 more bases and sit there and get more tech.
Yeah, it would have been very difficult for him. I mean, that was a huge amount of momentum just immediately lost out of nowhere. You don't expect that to happen, so a bit unfortunate. But we will be going into map number 2 in just a moment here. Kill Switch will be the next map, which has given us some pretty interesting games overall so far this season. One of the new maps that we've thrown into the map pool here. So I'm curious if it's going to make for some kind of interesting strategy. Last time these two played in the upper bracket, it was this map that Classic tried to go Phoenix on as well, which was the only Phoenix map that I feel like we've seen in any of the PVTs so far this tournament. So to be fair, he lost that game as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure if he's actually going to do that again. But this map does lead to some different selections of the build orders.
Yeah, this has been a fun map to cast on. Obviously, it's an extremely different map than the one that we previously had on. You know, the last game ended. Hello.
Speaking of interesting strategies.
Okay. So, you know, I was saying that this probably wouldn't happen today. I'm happy to say I was wrong about that prediction. So he's going to do some scumbag Protoss stuff. He's got a pylon just outside the main, and it's going to be a proxied gate. And I guess, come to think of it, we've had. I think every game Clem is throwing the command center down at the low ground, right? It's 2 gates?
Oh my God.
What is this, 1998? Last time I've seen that. What?
Oh my God.
He's going to make 2 gates?
This is so committed.
This is going to be maybe the first cast we ever have where there's no warp gate made.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, this is going to be very quick. I'm imagining. I mean, he's going to be going for a super fast Cybercore right after this as well to continue the aggression. I'm curious if he's going to just go straight double Zealot or if he just goes like 1 Zealot Cybercore and then has 2 Stalkers coming up after or something.
I think that might be it.
I'm not sure exactly how the minerals will work out.
Maybe you actually just get both. Maybe you do 2 Zealots. Okay,
yeah,
so it's core, but maybe you have 2 Zealots. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So it's going to be 2 Zealots into 2 Stalkers.
Nice.
So this is extremely surprising. You know, a second ago I was going to talk about how like last game ended with a big drop, getting shut down, but this map, you know, drops are a lot stronger because of the way the map is shaped. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have cast this in a game. I've definitely seen people do cheesy stuff like this, but I don't think I've actually ever cast a professional game where this has happened. Specifically.
So the Reaper's going to come over here now and he sees
it!
I was just going to say, because of the placement and because of the pathing, this should be calculated out by Classic so that way it doesn't get scouted, but just barely it's close enough to the ramp and that Reaper will spot this. That's massive for Clem here. It is very good though because he was going for a 2-gas opener on the high ground, so this is the best possible situation for him blindly anyways, but even if he did not get that scout, there's still an opportunity for Classic to have done insane damage because there's no reactor. There was a reactor, but now it's been canceled basically. So now he's able to get a few more units out, trying to get this bunker up, and the supply depot also needs to make sure that that gets repaired because if that goes down, then this is really opened up here for Clem. It will get targeted down, but we do have a Widow Mine up at the front, but barely walks just past it, and now things are going to get really confusing for Clem.
Yeah, this is brutal. The Zealot's low, the Stalker goes down. The SCVs are going to come in here. They're going to surround this this, the Zealot is finally taken out. Now, a Stalker actually can still do quite a bit. There's another Stalker here in the front. It looks like he wasn't paying attention to that one, but he pulls it away at the last second. And you are happy to just keep running with this Stalker because in fact, workers are not mining. There's minerals not coming in. You can see the display right here at the top of the screen.
Yeah, and behind this is also a Nexus from Classic, so this is not 100% all in. He is going to lose this Stalker in the main eventually, but an Adept has shaded into the main base as well, and so that will be able to kill off the Marine. Will be able to dodge around the SCVs as well, just barely scoots out somewhere. I think it went all the way back down to the natural, so that does stay alive for now.
So he needs to plug this entrance, or the Shades are just going to keep coming in.
Yeah, it's going to get kind of weird. It's kind of, I think Classic is not actually making too many more Adepts, so he's just going fully on into Stalkers after this. Of course, you still want to wall this off, so Clem will get that down. But this is going to be, honestly, Clem kind of forced into a one-base situation for much longer than he was anticipating, and the Classic still has plenty of opportunity to harass these supply depots, even going to be able to get the one that had the extra supply drop down. So if he kills this, that's going to be so much supply out from Clem.
But there's a drop inbound. Is there anything actually in the main? I guess, you know, hold on. Warp Gate's about to finish. I was going to say, because does he have Warp Gate? He could warp something in here to try to protect this. This depot is going to go down. Not quite supply blocking Clem, but nearly doing it. He's going to recall the Stalkers back home, so the drop has to be happening now. He sends the Stalkers back. He's going to pick them up. Now, this is where, you know, games get really interesting, right? Because Terran survives the rush, but infrastructure's in the middle of the map, which is awkward. I can't believe this. Now, this is a slow zone, or whatever you call it. This red thing slows units down. And I think that actually that means the Stalker's going to be able to act. Oh, it gets away.
God, that was perfect from Clem. The cooldown just barely coming back up in time. And now he's got the rest of his units on the high ground, so he will be able to ferry these Stalkers away. Medevac cleanly going to the bottom on the safe route. So that will come back home as well. So a nice bit of crisis management here from Clem to be able to keep these early units alive and might be able to pick away at this gateway and deny some of the extra production from Classic as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of Stalkers here, but I don't know that they can quite get in here at the angle they want to. A siege tank's going to come up. He can siege up over here. Now, this is really important infrastructure. Losing these two gateways really slows everything down. Terran is expanding behind this, by the way. Worker count right now, Clem is actually down quite a bit. I'm almost stunned when I look down at the bottom of the screen. It's 40 to 24. And yeah, I mean, he's going to need to get a lot more workers in this game if he's going to be viable.
Yeah. Even though that was really cool in the middle to keep that medevac alive on a lot of the units and honestly destroy two of the gateways, it's still not a great situation for Clem. He's, up until this point, been stuck on one base this entire time, while Classic has been trying to saturate up a second base himself, and he's going to be having Blink halfway done. He's got his 40 probes out. He's going to be doing pretty well economically, whereas Clem is the one that is just constantly playing from the back foot on this entire game. The early harassment, while it wasn't game ending and maybe Classic kind of wanted it to be, it was definitely more than enough to put himself in a very satisfying position.
Yeah, and you know, the game does slow down a little bit here now. But, you know, Classic, obviously his intention was to end the game immediately, right? Post-rush games are always super fascinating because each one is a little bit different, right? It's not like you both have these build orders you start out with and we kind of know where they're going to end up because, you know, different numbers of workers are killed or certain techs are killed. This is so funny to me that this actually slows that down so much.
Yeah.
The workers going in and out of the gas like that. He's going to intercept. Oh, never mind.
Just you
This is just a suspenseful game, but Medevac's barely getting away at the last second.
Yeah, that was honestly not bad from Clem. Even though it only killed 2 workers, denying the mining for that long in a game where the economies are pretty low overall is pretty good as well. This observer coming in will be able to scout that there's going to be Banshees coming out onto the map. However, I don't believe he saw the other ones at the top side, so these ones will be revealed just now. But a massive amount of Blink Stalker is going to be coming into the main base, and completely unprepared is Clem. All of his units in the natural, even though he's got plenty of tanks, he didn't expect these to come up at this point. But the double Banshee coming into the natural at this time is excellent. No defenses here whatsoever. Second observer coming down to the natural just now to be able to help against this. But this is going to do a lot of damage. 12 workers are already dead with more to follow.
So, I mean, this is really starting to stack up. 15 kills. I think we're going to get to 20 before it's over here. And right now, this actually puts Clem at a worker lead. So, I mean, with all things that have happened this game, and this is one of those games you can basically never recreate because there's so many unique circumstances about it. the reality is that Clem is in a very healthy position right now.
Yeah, that was exactly what he needed. He needed some nice miracle move to really bring him back into an even state, and at this point, even into an advantaged state. Gonna lose the 2 Banshees. That's a bit unfortunate. Actually, very nice from Classic to track those down. That would have been a really big pain in his side if he wasn't able to find those. And they actually do add a lot of DPS to the push if that's what Clem was going for, and it seemed like he was, because this is a big army coming out here. That's what, 5 tanks in this attack? That's going to be very lethal. If we can't get a surround or some sort of pick off like this onto the backside of the tanks, excellent micro from Clem as well, but actually focus fire onto the medevac will also clean that up. So nicely done by both players to pick off and also save a few critical units here.
Did he not stim back there? Does he not have stim?
I don't think he has stim.
I don't think he has stim.
Yeah, he's been focused so hard on just getting as many units as possible. He hasn't been able to get a tech lab. So now Classic also coming in with the Blink Stalkers will deny the mining and then recall back to defend.
This is so weird seeing a push without stim. And I mean, this is just way too much, right? Classic, you know, this all came down to the fact that he got in there and sniped those tanks. We were talking about Clem being in a good position. Man, that changed really fast with this bungled push. And again, you know, you could see the amount of corners that Classic has had to cut. Or sorry, Clem has had to cut in order to even engage with Classic is fascinating. That's like maybe the first and last 5 tank push with Marines and a Cyclone and a Banshee that I'll ever see, right? With no stim, no medevacs,
no combat
stim.
shield either.
Yeah, stim just now starts. So these are the consequences of really scrappy early games, right? Is we don't have the kind of normal development. So stim has started now, same with combat shields. Classic going up into Psystorm as well. I do feel like this is going to be a really tough game here for Clem, because even though this was not the game we expected, you know, it was one where Classic did a pretty cheesy rush, excuse me. It has moved back into what we sort of thought it was going to be, which is Classic basically defending, turtling, growing, and eventually just getting so big there's not a whole lot Terran can do.
Yeah, this is going to get really difficult for Clem in these next few minutes because he invested so much into the early tanks, into the early Banshees with Cloak, and just getting as many Marines out as possible. This means that, like you said, all of his upgrades are so late. So he has to wait for Stim, he's got to wait for Combat Shield, wait for +1 attack. He's got to recoup all of that before he could go back on the map again. And to be fair, his macro has been excellent during all of this, though, because his army is still quite large, even though he kind of lost a lot in the initial attack. Because Classic also has to recoup a little bit, too. He had to cut a few corners here and there. His storm is much later, but when it hits, oh my god, that is an insane storm.
That was like literally, it's like how many, what is the maximum number of units you can damage in a storm? I think we just saw it right there. Like, that was perfectly fit. Now, Classic has to be careful not to overextend here, but just to get an idea, oh my god, he got it and stormed the workers.
Oh my god, I've not seen a storm drop that successful in a long time.
Yeah, that did so much damage. But, you know, just to get an idea of where we're at, I mean, Protoss is now up to 4 bases. Terran just took a 3rd, but, I mean, he's lost so many workers. He's going to lose even more here. In fact, he just taps out.
He's going to lose the game.
Man, I mean, that was quite the game.
That was entertaining, man. That was, I really didn't know who was going to be winning that entire time. That was really unfortunate at the end there for Clem, though. He's just getting completely caught with his pants down on 2 different sides. One with the main army, the Storm, just destroying everything, and then on the back end, I want to reiterate, I've never seen a Storm Drop do that much damage in, I feel like, since like 2012 or something.
A lot of times with Storm Drops versus Terran, it's like the first one might not kill that much. Like, you know, pros are so good at reacting and pulling their workers out right away, but then it's like the second or the third one, because you don't want to be sitting there repairing or healing SCVs. It's not a good usage of your medevac energy or your resources. But yeah, not only that one storm that hit the army, like perfectly. I think Clem's screen just wasn't over that at the time, and they walked right in, and you could see he clicked them out, and they walked right back out, taking a ton of damage there. What an unusual rush.
Yeah, that was really cool. I was not expecting that from Classic. The perfect map to bring that out on, though. Because that was, of course, one of the smaller maps that we have. So like we were saying, that one leads to some pretty interesting games. And that was, I think, that was honestly like one of my favorite games of the tournament. It was very interesting.
Same. You know, it's funny because the rush was spotted. I mean, it makes you wonder what would have happened if he had just made the gateway like up to the side a little bit.
I think the game is over at that point because he was building a reactor. He had one Reaper and that was it. He was building a reactor on the barracks and then his factory. He had no units. He wouldn't have had anything to defend.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. He did a phenomenal job dealing with the rush. And then I did feel like there was a moment where he could have won. Like once the Banshee started to kill the workers.
Yeah.
The push was interesting. If we could go back in a game, that would be one I'd like to look at because I didn't even realize he didn't have stim until we saw the fight happening.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why does this look so different? I'm like, oh, because I never see pros not stim when a fight happens, right?
Yeah.
That's just something that you always see. Maybe if he had gotten the 5 tanks into a better position.
Yeah, that was critical from Classic. Being able to flank those and get 2 of them and the medevac was actually huge. If all of those are left to be staying alive in that engagement, I think that does look much different from Clem.
Yeah, it was crazy. I really enjoyed that game. Guys, if you're watching right now, do us a favor and subscribe to our YouTube. What we're doing here is we're making seasonal StarCraft tournaments. This is what I grew up on. This is what I loved watching the MSL. I loved watching the OSL. That was my Game of Thrones. I got to watch each match and see the stories unfold and find out who was going to be the best StarCraft player in the world. That's what we're trying to do here. We have spoiler-free VODs uploaded. So just like you don't want your favorite Netflix show spoiled, that's what we're trying to do here now. And we're trying to grow this YouTube. It's very tiny, but the bigger it gets, the more fans of the game will find it because the algorithm will reward that. So consider joining our YouTube, and we're also very active on X.
Yeah, lots of stuff being posted there. We got all the match previews. We got all the results happening as well to keep you updated whenever everything's happening. We got some memes thrown out there every now and then. We got a GIF of you doing a funny dance or something like that, I think.
I didn't know about that. Is that true? Okay.
You're doing like a whoa kind of thing. But yeah, it's please make sure to follow all that. It really helps us out.
Yes, please. And I think we're going to take a short little break here, guys. Right now, Classic with a 2-0 lead in this best of 7. The question is, can Clem come back, or is Classic going to get closer and closer to closing this out? We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the RSL Season 1 Finals. We are getting ready to go into game number 3 between Classic and Clem. And my God, Gemini, Classic is looking so strong right now.
Yeah, it's actually insane. Like, he's only been playing Terrans in the entire bracket this far, like in the playoffs, and every single time he looks so dominant, but every single time I'm also thinking, like, surely something's going to stop him. Like, there's so much to study at this point. There's so many games that he's been doing very similar builds, very similar styles, and yet he still kind of brings out something new. This last game was something new that we haven't seen at all, but even the more standard stuff he's doing, the Terrans just don't really seem to have an answer for it right now. He's just consistently playing so well.
Yeah, me and Tasteless were talking about this heading into game number 1, where it's like, you know, Classic, basically every single PvT, maybe even every single PvT so far this tournament, he's just played the same safe style, trying to take a third base. Sometimes he'll make a couple changes, like he'll go Phoenix instead of going Blink or something like that, but it's always the same overarching style. Game 2, going for the double gate proxy versus Clem was so cool, and exactly as Gemini was talking about, 3-2 over Beyond, 3-1 over Clem in the winner semis, knocking Clem down to the lower bracket. 4-0 win over a Cure, who almost won GSL Season 1 this year versus Hero. I mean, Classic is just unstoppable right now.
Yeah, I mean, now he's 2 up against Clem in the grand finals. Clem also, by the way, it says TVT on the bracket. He actually did play Protoss as well versus Cure, so that's always that's a fun thing to note as well. So, yeah, it seems as though we have a couple excellent Protoss players in this tournament. One of them also a Terran player, just happens to do both apparently. But yeah, Classic is just absolutely running rampant with this bracket right now. And I mean, even with the last game that we just saw coming out with some pretty cool strategies on some of the more non-conventional maps is just a treat to see, really. So I'm just kind of curious what kind of stuff he's going to bring out, if he just goes back to his more standard stuff, or if he's got even more tricks hidden up his sleeve.
Yeah, of course. And as we have a little bit more time to kill before that game number 3 kicks off, if you guys are a Patreon supporter, you get 20% discount off on all Tasteless TV merch.
That's almost 30, man.
It's almost even 25.
It's more than 15. It's crazy. I can't believe how much of a discount.
Yeah, fellas, hop on over to tastelessthreads.com. They have more merch than just the stuff that you see right here. Got the RSL Revival, you know, the hoodie, the shirt, and the mug if you want to support the tournament, but also Tasteless has so many cool t-shirts. It's basically all that he wears.
Yes,
like,
no, literally every single time that I see this guy outside, he's got a shirt of his own face on it every single time. It's like, man, he just walks around with that.
I remember when he told that story in the RSL, it was like maybe a week ago. He's like, he went to a bar and like the bartender's like, is that your face on the t-shirt? And he's like, yeah, it's like my merch. She's like, you wear your own merch? Lame. And just walked away, dude. That's so funny. Anyway, guys, our game number 3 is now finally loaded up. Classic leading 2-0. Clem spawning in the bottom right, Classic in the top left. It's starting to feel like it might be a 4-0, and I came into this.
Don't say that, Steve.
I came into this series today fully expecting this to go the distance, like at least a game 6, probably a game 7. I mean, I look at Clem and I see arguably the best Terran player in the world right now. Especially someone who plays PvT instead of TvT. You know, he gets extra practice in this matchup, but Classic, there's just something about the way that he is approaching, you know, his play style, just the overarching theme that he's been going for, whether it be defensive or even mixing in some of the proxies like we saw with the 2-gate last game, where there just really doesn't seem to be an answer, or if there is one, no one has found it yet.
Yeah, and I feel like of all the people to find it, it should be Clem, considering you just said that, yeah, he also kind of plays the other side as well, and he should kind of know some of the ins and outs a little bit. He's also just generally a really good person at being able to go and just come up with new styles or whatever. He can easily do that. So I'm curious of what he's got cooked up here for this next game. Maganatha, a bigger map, so he doesn't have to worry too much about any of those proxies. He's going to even just be going for a 1 gas opener himself as well. No more 2 gas stuff. So we'll see what he's got cooked up here.
Yeah, and I like going for a 1 gas opener here as Clem because, you know, the 2 gases, they just really haven't been working out very much. I think versus Cure, I'm trying to remember how many games Cure opened 1 gas instead of 2, and I feel like basically every game was a 2 gas build.
Yeah, but he really did like it.
Classic, in his approach versus these 2 gas styles, has been so respectful for the aggressive potential of Terran. Like, we will see him go for Storm and Charge in 5 gateways before taking the third base if you do a 2-gas opening against him, right? We saw that in game 1 here versus Clem. And against a Protoss player that is that reactive and also just that persistent with the scouting, I feel like just because of the way Hallucination Phoenix works right now, you really can't get too much done with these 2-gas openings. So I like this adjustment coming in from Clem.
For sure. By the way, there's also a giveaway going on in chat right now if you want some of that RSL merch. I believe the thing is !enter, so you can go ahead and do that in chat. Maybe get yourself some free swag. Would be pretty cool. But for this game, we're going to be going into a Twilight Council, yet again from Classic, so not unexpected there. I would be surprised if he does anything outside of a Twilight opener, to be honest, this series. The one game he tried the Stargate Phoenix build in the upper bracket, the other series against Clem just didn't work at all. So once he went right back to the Twilight stuff, it was totally much better for him. And even just walking gun-ho into the main base with the Stalker is very, very bold there. Only loses half HP. Not the worst thing in the world, but if you actually lose this, which he actually kind of could, although he does have the second Stalker coming in to help it out, so that's very nice. Without that, that means that Hellion could have actually chased that down. It would have been not the ideal situation, but now with the second Stalker, this does look a little threatening.
Yeah, there's a lot of micro potential here for Classic. Only really the Hellion can close the distance and get consistent damage done on these units. It looks like one of those Stalkers is going to go down. Clem, will you sacrifice the Hellion to do it? He will, but now, as far as Classic is concerned, I think you're kind of happy with this trade. It does always suck to lose a Stalker this early, but just having all of those Marines so low on HP and being able to see every unit the Terran has produced up until this point, the Hellion, the Widowmine, the Marines, it's going to give Classic the confidence to throw down this third base.
Yeah, he just kind of sees exactly what's happening, knows that there's not going to be any super crazy aggression. A Marine and Mine drop is not something you need to worry that much about. That Marine drop was crazy. The fact that it actually it gets the Stalker kill because it somehow body blocked it on the corner there. That's excellent from him. So that's actually not what Clem maybe even expected to get from that. But now he's got to be very careful because his medevac is super low. If it gets killed off with all the units inside, basically, oh no, it takes a turn for the worst. And the Mine also getting killed or getting forced to trigger onto a random probe in the middle of the map means that does basically nothing. Oh my god, what an absolute disaster here for Clem.
Yeah, the opening was so good with the initial catch on that Stalker, but Classic has just produced so many units out of these early gateways that he has the Stalker count to completely encircle that low HP medevac in the middle of the map. And you know, for Clem, he did go for a Liberator. That's what we see moving around the top right side of the map right now, as our observer Mapu is pointing out. So there is still some aggressive potential here for Clem, but no, ideally he would be pairing this up with like a drop coming into the natural expansion of the third base at some stage, right? As it is, a Liberator just kind of going gung-ho into the main base with Blink none probably is going to get too much, you know, accomplished.
Yeah, it's really not that difficult, especially when you already have 2 Stalkers prepared. This is going to get absolutely nothing. Clem realizing it just walks it right back. We'll wait for a more opportune moment. But, I mean, this is something that Classic has been doing so well in all of these games he's played. Even if he doesn't go for the early Hallucination Scouts, he goes for this early Stalker pressure. That's a bit unfortunate, losing a lot of HP on this Stalker, but he's been so good at just taking the early map and making it so difficult for these medevacs to actually get across the map. And he just kind of abuses the cooldown of the boost to be able to get those snipes early. And he's been very consistent at that. And this game's showing some amazing form with that as well. This tank Marine push coming across the map has some opportunity to do some damage, but the Stalker harassment on the units coming forward has been pretty decent, but 3 tanks, oh no, especially if you walk right into them, is definitely going to be very threatening.
That's some low HP Stalkers here on the high ground. Charge only just now starting, so it's going to be slow Zealots and Stalkers as Clem begins to push up the ramp, while this Liberator already gets 3 kills there in the main base and forces that mineral line to evacuate. But a lot of these siege tanks, actually, yeah, they're just going to unsiege, take that fight, and then move even closer to this Nexus. Now, additional gateways are finishing. We have 4 units warping in right now for Classic, but that Nexus is taking a lot of damage. Gemini Immortal coming in.
Oh yeah, this Immortal is going to be critical to help defend against this, but nice focus fire from Clem to be able to kill that off quickly, but I don't think that even is going to matter because the extra reinforcements from Classic will be enough to push this back. 4 probes were killed during all of this, but that is a lot of units from Clem to trade out to be able to get that type of damage.
Yeah, even with the slow Zealots, they were just able to absorb enough damage that, Classic kind of routed that push. And behind it, there wasn't an SEV pull coming in from Clem. It wasn't that heavy of a commitment. There is a third base also nearing completion, but you defend that push with Storm completing here as Classic, and I think you're feeling really good now heading into the mid game. He's going to take a fourth base. Finally, the first Forge is online, getting +1 ground weapons. Unless I'm mistaken, Clem, he only has infantry weapons level 1, has not started armor, only just now hitting that on the production tab. So the upgrade differential, even though Classic delayed that Forge quite a bit, it's not that significant yet.
Yeah, usually the Terran can find an opportunity to be kind of ahead in upgrades. It's kind of rare as a Protoss player that you find yourself ahead in that regard. Just the way that the build orders generally work out, we don't really get fast Forges anymore. So to have not the craziest differential in that regard is definitely good for Classic as well coming into this. Storm actually only just about halfway done here, so did have to delay that to defend the initial push, and that was a nice alteration there from Classic to realize how much aggression was coming at him earlier on. So we'll just get this when he knows he is safe for it. We'll get that eventually set up, and has a Prism kind of lurking around the map to try and set up some extra vision, getting a Zealot on the watchtower. He's even got something on the very top right hand side, looks like a Probe making a pylon, just to get any type of extra vision to make sure there's no medevac sneaking around, because that is definitely something that Clem loves to throw out.
Yeah, I love these spider pylons here at the 12 o'clock and on the top right. Classic has been known to mix in proxy gateways alongside these pylons occasionally.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to see that over here by the 3 o'clock position. As
I
it is
wish
right
he
now.
does.
Yeah, it would be great.
It worked so well before. I think it's a very underutilized tool that we Protosses should be doing more.
All right, Army now coming over here onto the right side. Classic is gunning for a fight. Look at this. Second Robo and Robo Bay also coming online behind all of this, so there is going to be a Colossus transition, but I believe Classic has identified Ghosts probably aren't out just yet, so there's likely a window to get some damage done with Storm. He's looking at the minimap. He is pushing into that third base, but nice SimCity by Clem is going to keep Protoss at bay for now. Oh. Big Storm, though.
That is going to be some nice damage. If he can get a second follow-up one down there eventually as well, that would be super sick, but looks like Clem will be able to force him back for now. A nice defense in the main base, so 7 SCVs going down. It's pretty decent, but it's not the end of the world. Nice Storm on the left-hand side of the bio here as well. Needs to be careful with this Warp Prism, make sure it doesn't just go suiciding into the army. But honestly, a pretty decent defense from Clem, and a recall actually forced from Classic. I was even looking at the minimap to see if there was something he's recalling for, but I think he just was scared that he was about to get jumped because the position that he was kind of forcing himself in allowed him to potentially get surrounded there. So honestly, a nice, just very passive decision from Classic to make sure he doesn't just suddenly throw the game in what is basically a pretty even situation.
It's an even situation, but I feel like this is the best that Clem has been looking the entire series, because that EMP that he hit on the Clem Templar was so clutch. It took all of the firepower out of Classic's army, and perhaps Clem, that might have been an opportune moment to push across the map and try and get some more damage done, because with energy recharge available for Protoss, you have maybe 2 more Storms you have to deal with if you don't get the EMPs there as Clem. But as it is, the first 2 Colossi, they will be done. 4 more gateways halfway complete as well. And actually, we have both these armies. Okay, Clem is going to pull back. I was wondering if we might have a base trade situation. Instead, Classic just charging basically into the natural expansion and then retreating right back out.
Yeah, he just wants to try and deny this 4th base from getting planted easily. Doesn't know exactly where the army has moved off to. I think he was a little afraid to fully commit there. Just saw it moving across the map earlier with the tower, but now we'll see that it's all the way back here with this observer placed nicely in position as well. So won't just go fully on the engage. Doesn't feel like he needs to go for that just yet. His Colossus still coming up. He's got his double forge upgrades coming in. He's got extra bases coming up. Classic always the one to try and just prolong the game, try to safely set everything up for a longer situation. Doesn't want to just rush in to a disadvantaged position if he doesn't think he 100% has the kill.
Yeah, but this is the moment of the game where Classic loves to get super aggressive, and him more than anybody else will just pile on gateways. I think we might be going up to 18 gateways in this situation, because Classic, what he wants to do is basically take a fight with effectively 220 plus army supply, maybe even 240 of the full bank with those 18 gateways. As Classic, he's going to be charged again. There's a lot of money in the bank with that Warp Prism. If that Warp Prism goes down, the reinforcements will be slim, but already a big round of Zealots coming in. The storms on the ramp are absolutely huge, but the EMPs from Clem, quite clutch. They're going to force Classic to retreat all the way to the left side. But, you know, that wasn't Classic's full army engaging on the top of that ramp. The Colossi will retreat back to safely, and the Zealots were able to take down 24 SCVs during all of that, in addition to the expansion.
Yeah, that was actually a great engagement from Classic, abusing the fact that Clem was a little bit out of position there. Just got in between the two bases on the high ground, forcing Clem up into the high ground itself. Now there's actually very little anti-air, so these Colossi will get kited down from the Vikings, but there's so many Zealots on the ground. The Bio is actually having a little bit of a hard time too. Will have to shove away for now. Nice storm on those Vikings to keep those away, but not before they actually get the other Colossus kill. So a bit of a reset from both players, but still Classic coming up ahead because he's got so many more bases coming up on the bottom left-hand side as well, whereas Clem is now forced back onto only 3.
And that Warp Prism staying alive. I mean, with, what, 20 gateways or so that we have right now for Classic, the Remax potential is absolutely through the roof. And Clem, he's going to try and take down one of these bases. Nice EMP there on the Nexus. Just try to reduce the shields a little bit, prevent any recall shenanigans coming in from Classic. But there's so many more bases right now for Protoss. The entire left side, barring the middle, has been completely taken over by Classic. And now the drop coming into the main base. There's hardly a position to drop into with all of these gateways. And a massive recall now into the main. Should eventually force this back, but actually the SimCity kind of working against Classic here.
Yeah, it's actually crazy how many gateways are in this main base right now. So Clem should be lifting back up to get on out of there. He doesn't want to overstay his welcome. Classic, realizing this, knows where this army's going to be heading, jumps on the medevacs and tries to catch Clem when he's not paying attention. The storms go down on absolutely everything as well. Going to be throwing these into the corner to try and keep them alive, but that does open up a big opportunity on the left-hand side. This is not defended right now, and the recall was just used, so we cannot just instantly recall down here as Classic. He's gonna have to run all the way over. Clem doesn't want to overcommit too much though, because Classic is here.
Yeah, it's almost like Clem's playing whack-a-mole right now with all these Protoss expansions. One goes down, another one immediately pops up as we have another engagement. Classic able to catch this army before it can retreat back into the safety of that 4th base. The Vikings doing good work on the Colossi, but the standing army on the ground is just so big right now for Classic. The Bio completely encircled. And the planetary, yes, it will complete, and that 4th base likely will stay alive, but the supplies really tell the story right now. It is a near-max Classic with 3K resources in the bank, and he's going to charge down this PF.
And I was talking earlier how it's very rare for the Protoss to be ahead in upgrades against the Terran, just how it generally works out. He is on 3-2, way above the Terran opponent as well. A 3-0 to go with that. So far from Classic, he's looking absolutely unbeatable.
Classic is so good right now. It is kind of stunning.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like heading into, GSL Season 2, the Protoss player that I had leading the pack, in my mind, head and shoulders above the rest, was Hero.
Yeah.
But Classic showcasing such good PvZ in that tournament, and now coming to the RSL Season 1, and just putting on a clinic in PvT. Even when Clem is making these really good plays, like taking down those expansions or finding drops in the main base, Classic still finds some way to punish him. Yes, the drop, it kills the Nexus at 12 o'clock. It's then able to get into the main base, takes down some of the infrastructure. He catches it. Only 2 medevacs survive. And then, yes, Clem, he took down the gold base in the bottom left, but Classic was quick enough going back down that he encircles it. There's no medevacs there. You can't retreat. As Clement, suddenly your full bioforce is getting encircled. And then the momentum just keeps building and building and building. I mean, Classic, once he gets online with like 4 or 5 bases and reaches nearly 20 gateways, I do not know how you stop him. But the early game is just so solid, Gemini.
Yeah, I can't really believe, honestly, what I'm looking. It's like perfect movement. It's perfect positioning. Sure, he maybe gets caught off guard a little bit here and there, but because he takes so many bases throughout the map, it doesn't really matter if he loses one here or there. He can just move the workers somewhere else as long as he keeps them alive, just go around. He's been just looking so good.
Well, it is now a 3-0 advantage for the Korean Protoss player as we wrap Game 3 on Maganatha. Ultra Love Ley Lions talking back in the grid. The only maps remaining in this series, but, I mean, Classic just... I'm trying to put myself into Clem's shoes, and I do not know what adjustments to make.
Yeah, I feel like I actually kind of liked what he tried in the last game where he went for one of those really early Marine tank attacks. This is kind of something that I was even thinking about as something that could potentially come into the weak point, basically, like before Storm is ready, while you're still kind of stuck on just a few gateway units or whatever. But I feel like Classic still was able to deal with that pretty simply. Like, it looked a little bit sketchy at first, but was able to get all the reinforcements set up. It was totally fine. Maybe he tries to go for something, a little even greedier. Maybe like, throw in like a 3CC or something like that. Maybe really just try to outgreed the Protoss somehow, but that could obviously just get scouted, and then maybe Classic alters his things there too. So it's looking like it's not a clear answer from Clem, basically.
Yeah, I mean, on Ultra Love for map number 4, there might be some chances. I feel like that one's maybe one of the more Terran favorite maps that we have in this pool, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens, guys. We're going to take a short break before we come back with game number 4 between Classic and Clem. We'll see you in a moment.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We are in a 3-0 position right now. This is looking tough. I think the games themselves have been interesting. They've had some pretty close and epic moments. I guess minus game one. Game one was kind of a train wreck there for Clem. But I don't know how Clem is going to come back. I don't know if he can come back. Classic is bringing this very gradual style where he's just getting further ahead and kind of zoning the Terran out of any real path to victory, so to speak. I mean, what is your take on this, State?
Yeah, I disagree with you completely. It feels like he has been so on top of his scouting.
Yeah.
And just making these little tiny adjustments so that he's basically impervious to whatever Clem is going to throw at him. I think that's probably the most impressive thing to me about Classic's play is that he's being really conservative. Like, we will see him when he goes for these third bases sometimes. Like, he'll go like Robo and Storm before taking the third base. You look at the worker counts, Protoss does not have an economic lead. He is so confident in his mid game and his late game. He's not like basically 90% of the Protoss players I feel like I watch.
Yeah.
Either like in high GM or even some of the pros who are so aggressive with their expansions that it opens up a weakness.
Yeah.
And if it pays off, of course, you're in a tremendous position. But Classic's like, you know what? Yeah, I don't need that big lead. I don't need this gigantic economic explosion over my opponent. I just need to survive because I am that keyed in on what I am capable of doing with my army, with the storm drops. I mean, the control's also been impeccable.
Yeah, you know, usually I have this feeling when I play against a good Zerg player, but I think Clem is probably experiencing this right now versus Classics Protoss, is that I feel like I can't leave my base.
Yeah.
You know when you're against someone who's so good, you're like, if I go on the map at all, I always get punished. And if I don't go on the map at all, they just keep getting bigger. And it's like this sort of hopeless feeling, like, what exactly am I supposed to do to overcome this? So if Clem has an answer to that, we're going to have to find out right now, because Classic has just a gargantuan lead here with 3-0. It's Clem in the top right, Classic in the bottom left. Classic, the former GSL champion, versus Clem, the former Esports World Cup champion of last year.
Yeah, both defending their titles as we have a little bit of a pause here from Clem. Hopefully everything's going to be all right as we'll have Mapu check in on that. But
excuse me.
I feel like here on Ultra Love for map number 4, it's probably going to be Clem's best bet if he wants to do something standard and make plays happen. You know, the third to third distance, it's pretty close on this map, kind of similar to Kill Switch. It's one of the reasons why I think we probably saw Classic go for that proxy 2 gate on Kill Switch, because that was the map that Clem won against him earlier on in the bracket. But it's tough when you're down 3-0 in a best of 7, because like, do you go for a proxy like 2x Marauder or something one of these games and just completely coin flip the win? Because I feel like those kind of builds, you kind of need to mix into a best of 7 series against an opponent of Classic's caliber to win. But when you're down 3-0, it's such a gamble.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that you're going to get some of your wins. Even if you're playing from behind, you're going to get a couple of wins in there and try to catch up. I mean, going down 0-3 and then coming back with 4 wins in a row, it's so rare. It does happen, but it's extremely rare. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, a proxy is tempting, but you know, is that just going to get slapped down? I mean, one of the big features about Classic is that he's just able to defend everything so easily, right?
Yeah, and a lot of that is just because his play has been, I mean, the defense is so rigorous. He does not overextend at all. And it's kind of funny that you said that he feels suffocating from the Terran perspective, because I remember, I think it was like the GSL Season 1, the player intros or something, the interviews that they did behind the scenes. All of the Terran players were describing Hero as the suffocating Protoss because he is so relentlessly aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, he will just throw whatever he possibly can at you. And it is scary to go up against a Protoss player like that. But it almost feels like what Classic is doing is even worse. Like, I'm thinking back to that previous map that me and Gemini just casted, where Clem is trying to move across with the very first medevac to go for some kind of drop play and get some kind of damage done. And Classic just has like 4 or 5 stalkers that he's been slowly trickling out of the initial gateways, and is able to fully intercept that before it gets halfway across the map. And it's like, what do you even do against this guy. Or like in game number 1 when Clem went for the 2 or 3 medevac drop and the Raven also coming in, and that entirely just floundered. Classic just had the game sense to catch that on the left side of the map of Persephone and completely clean it up. I mean, yeah, there's many different ways that Protoss can be suffocating, but I feel like going up against what Classic is doing is probably the most frustrating thing from the Terran perspective if you want to get aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very tough style, right? It's one where he's just going to get all the pieces of the puzzle, and it doesn't feel like there's an easy way to stop him. Thinking back to your proxy, and maybe your idea for the proxy, maybe that is the play. Maybe you need to just take this one game at a time and be like, what can I possibly do on this map to take it? You know, a lot of Terrans, when they want to do some kind of a cheese or an all-in or they end the game, a lot of times it's about just having an SCV pull. You know, but the issue with Classic is he's shown that he will actually play really slow and just get Storm and get extra gateways and then just take a late third. So you literally can't do that. Like if you SCV pull into Storm, you will lose the game.
Yeah, and even the Colossi transitions come in at such great moments. I'm thinking back to the games earlier in the series where Classic went for the Colossi transition. I feel like one of the themes of that for him is that when he goes for the Colossus transition is when he gets really aggressive with the Storm and the Gateway Army. And he might not even be necessarily looking to find big damage with the Storm pushes, but it buys him space and it gives him time for the Colossi to come online. And like you said, if you go for an SCV pull against really fast Storm, well, suddenly your entire meat shield is just gone. And then if the push does not get insane amounts of damage done, it's game over, right? But then also, the Colossus transition comes online so quickly, too, with the 4th base from Classic when he goes for that Storm and a double Robotech, that I'm not sure what the play is. We have seen some glimpses of hope. Like, there was that one game on Kill Switch where Clem went for the double Banshee with Cloak. They got, what, 20 workers killed?
That was insane.
Which was insane. But then we had, like, the most clutch Storms of all time coming out from Classic immediately behind that. So it's... I don't know, man. He feels... I haven't felt this way about a Protoss player in a very long time watching them play. It just seems unstoppable.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, you know, we've had times where Protoss have been in a pretty tough spot historically in StarCraft 2. I mean, there's always kind of the meme that, you know, Protoss OP, and certainly if you're like a brand new player to the game, there's a lot of things you can do as a Protoss, or, you know, if you're playing, you'll definitely be, you know, cannon rushed by Protoss, or there's all sorts of weird cheeses they can do. But... you know, right now I'm looking at the matchup, and I feel like Classic has the formula mapped out for this matchup in a way that we rarely ever see. Like, it's, you know, a lot of times I look at a game and I go, man, maybe he could do this or he could try that. But it's just not exactly clear to me what he could do. We're going to see what's going to happen coming up here, guys. We've had a small pause here. We're going to be back in the game momentarily.
Yeah, Clem had some issue with his PC, so he's going to restart, and then we're going to resume from replay, and things will continue on. But, I mean, just Classic. Look at the development here, by the way. 3-2 versus Bjorn. You know, it was a nice win there for Classic, but Bjorn really had him on the ropes. And then he goes up against Clem a couple of, like a week ago now on July 6th, and that was a 3-1 win. So he's playing a little bit better, Tasteless. And then 4-0 over Kier. It's like he's downloading PVT over the course of the RSL
it's
playoffs.
insane.
He just keeps getting better.
This guy just eats up Terran players. You know, it's funny. I don't know if you've ever experienced this in a tournament, but I know I certainly have, where, like, I see someone on one side of the bracket that I really don't want to face, but I know they might not be good in, like, a matchup on that side.
Oh,
so
yeah,
maybe they'll get
for
wiped.
sure.
Yeah, they'll get swallowed up in that side of the bracket due to their own deficiencies in the matchup, and then, you know, maybe I can actually get ahead because the opponent that beat him, I know how to play against his style, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very unique run here from Classic, and that, yeah, he just, I don't know if it's fair to say this is his best matchup, but he looks unstoppable in this matchup right now. And it doesn't seem like Clem quite has the answer. It's actually funny, if you look at the brackets, Classic Bjorn was close. It was 3-2. That was the first match we casted here when RSL started. And then he fought Clem, who's obviously he's facing again now, and that was even more one-sided.
Yeah,
and by the time he got to
better.
Cure, and by the way, Cure, I think is in some of the best shape I have ever seen him in. Like, Cure's play truly inspires me, especially his match against Raynor that I thought was so good. That was a 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Classic is just leveling up in PVT after every game in this tournament.
Yeah, it's wild. And, you know, Classic, when he won the previous season of GSL, I was I was looking at the games, and I feel like he wasn't really tested. I can't remember how many PVTs he actually played over the course of the group stages, but I think the playoffs might have been... Oh man, I'm dated. We've had so many GSLs, it's hard to keep track of all of the games, but I was mostly impressed with his PBZ, right? And I was kind of left wondering, like, okay, his PBZ is absolutely fantastic, but how does he really look in PVT and PvP? Because, you know, we're only about a week out now from EWC, and Classic is looking like absolutely the top Protoss, if not one of the many top Protosses. But yeah, PVT. I mean, he's running a clinic. Like, how is this guy not going to be one of the favorites to win EWC if he keeps playing like this? It is wild.
I mean, excuse me. I look at this guy and I will be watching him very closely this EWC because, I mean, when you have one matchup solved already, and you know, Classic's great at PvZ. He's a great PvP player. He's always actually been excellent at PvP, but like, he looks kind of unstoppable here. And by the way, he's brought out some unique strats, like in Game 2. I thought he didn't even need to do that, so clearly he's fighting to try to win this RSL. But yeah, he had that very unique cheese there in Game 2, kind of a curveball compared to the rest of the ways that he, rest of the games, excuse me, that he played here in this tournament.
Yeah, and I think it's smart to make that kind of adjustment too, coming in from Classic, because he's displayed so much of his PvT over the course of this entire tournament. Game number 2, yeah, let's change the tempo a little bit versus Clem and leave him guessing for the rest of the best of 7 as we are now back in game number 4. It is match point already, Tasteless. Classic, the blue Protoss in the bottom left, leading this best of 7 3-0. Clem in the top right has to go for the entire reverse sweep to stage a comeback.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough, but I think when you're down this low, you just got to take it one game at a time here. No proxies, no crazy cheeses so far just yet, although Classic is making very sure to scout any location where he thinks there might be an ideal spot to hide that. As we can see the probe serpentining through the middle of the map, and he'll probably go right up there, up into the main here for Clem.
Yeah, and it will be a 2-gas opening again for Clem in this game number 4, and I am curious what Classic is going to do against this. You know, I've also been just watching Classic's gameplay and trying to learn a thing or two myself for when I play PvT. And it feels like this is when Classic is usually at his most conservative, is when the opponent is going for this 2-gas play. Whether it be that Classic confirms or does not confirm with the hallucination scout in the early game, he's almost always in a situation like this one, if he's playing standard, of course, going for the really fast Templar Archives, the 3-gate and the Robo before the 3rd base, sometimes even fully saturating 4 gas Kaisers on 2 bases before taking that 3rd, which, you know, if you come to StarCraft 2 from like 5 years ago, you're like, oh, well, of course you take all the gases before you take the 3rd base. That's how you get the good units. No, PvT has usually been a lot less gas intensive than it was in the past, but Classic is kind of making it work.
Yeah, I know, he's kind of hunkering down and just building up the tech that he's going to need to simplify the late game. You know, I mean, a lot of games you're kind of, if you're doing a macro play, you're kind of just trying to focus on getting all the pieces of the puzzle. But, I mean, he does it in such a way where, like, yeah, I mean, it really feels like if the game gets to a certain point and Classic has finished all of these buildings and these upgrades and has these units, there's just nothing you can do. So in this game, we're going to see what exactly Clem has planned. It's not clear what kind of game we're going to be given here from Clem. I mean, he's doing something very standard, which is expanding while getting the 1-1-1 tech. So barracks, factory, starport.
Oh man, these jukes and jives right now by Clem. It's a dangerous game with that Reaper solo on HP. He is going to be able to get that Reaper in the end, but you could see Clem just working as hard as he possibly could, because if he can get the Adept low enough, maybe he can kill it before it's able to take down that Reaper, but now he's going to be moving in. We already have a shield battery here in the natural expansion. Clem is going to shoo his way right into the main base, but there is a shield battery waiting for him there as well, so this Reaper and Hellion not going to be able to get too much done. I actually really like the force field too, just to confirm the kill.
I kind of forgot he could do that in that moment, so he locks in that Hellion. It's going to get executed by the Stalker. There's a Reaper here, but there's a shield battery. So, you know, it felt like there was a real opportunity here for Clem, but he wasn't able to really do much with it.
Yeah, I don't mind this too much, because typically the way that you see Terran players develop when they go for, you know, the Hellion and the Reaper openings is that they will make a lot more Hellions and a lot more Reapers than we saw Clem commit to. And, yeah, I mean, that's... one more Hellion and one more Reaper is not too much of an investment here for Clem, although he would have loved to get a little bit more damage done.
Okay, we've got the medevac out. It's being stalked here by the hallucinated Phoenix. So no surprises. I'm wondering if when this thing you know, fades out due to energy, if he's going to have anything else, like he might turn around here. Oh, this is it's so funny. It's two hallucinated stalkers here. Yeah, that was an interesting move there. At the end, is he still going to go for it? I feel like you want to just send this back home, but I guess not. I guess he's going to see if he can't kind of finesse something, maybe siege up and try to hit this gateway.
Yeah, he really wants to commit, and Classic's going to try and get on top of that siege tank. He will lose one stalker in the process, but the fact that Clem is going for extra siege tanks and rallying them cross-map with this one, he would have loved to just get entrenched in that position there by the third base. So I like Classic. You know, you take one on the chin losing that stalker, but if you're going to unseat the Terran from that dangerous siege position, you're going to be really happy with it.
Yeah, you know, I hope this works for Clem's sake, but I'm worried that he's just going to end up feeding into the Protoss here. You know, if you start to bleed out these units, nice, he gets the kill on the stalker. It seems like what Clem's trying to do is get some jabs in here, and then maybe follow it up with an attack that could be fatal for Classic, but Classic's kind of shrugging it off. Doesn't seem like he's taking too much damage. And in fact, Classic's actually looking for a fight now. He's saying, you're somewhere on the map. Let me see if I can catch you. The Liberator's going to wrap around here into the main. Oh, hold on a second.
Yeah, this might be a big distraction right now for Classic. He is going to lose one stalker here on the front line. Liberator only getting, I think, one probe because that one going into the Messbean Geyser was able to dodge a shot for a moment. But, you know, for Classic, I don't mind this too much. The shield battery does make cleaning this Liberator up a lot more easy, but you know, these Stalkers, they've been able to kind of work their way all the way around. Clem has to retreat back into his natural expansion now, Tasteless, and we still have recall available.
Yeah, he's just run around here, taking pot shots on these workers, and this is going to force Clem back here, and what he's going to do, he's going to recall this back home. Great usage of the recall, honestly. A couple Stalkers are shot down, but what Classic's doing is he's buying time. Like, Clem wants to set up for this push, and so what Classic does is he runs around, goes in there, because Clem, his army's not fast enough that he could ignore this, so he has to go back and basically protect his workers, and it's just buying more time on the clock here for Classic.
Yeah, and Classic behind all of this went 5 gateways, storm and charge before a third base, and some nice maneuvering too, getting some extra damage done on these siege tanks as well.
Dude, he's so good with these Stalkers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So a lot of times, this is even an old concept from StarCraft 1, but when Terrans are pushing, especially in games like this, you want to have something in between the reinforcements that can basically pick off the few units that are on the move out on the map. And a lot of times that'll allow you to buy enough time and a big enough army that you can eventually just come into the middle of the map and squash everything, and that's literally exactly what's happening here.
Wow, Charge Zealot's even coming in right now as things get very complicated for Clem. Classic even blinking forward there with those Stalkers, takes down the medevac, limiting the micro possibilities right now for the Terran player, and he's just going to continue to push on into the natural expansion.
I think this could be the start of the end here. I mean, this was a game where Clem wanted to push the Terran. Now the Protoss is just outside the Terran's door. All this infrastructure is being built right here in the center. Like, if he doesn't keep this alive, it's going to get worse. Stim's going to finish. I think what's going to happen is Classic is going to jump into the main and try to do damage there, or at least fake it out.
Yeah, he does have an observer if he decides to blink in. Instead, he's going to opt to go over here into the natural expansion, just takes 2 SCVs down and then scurries right on out of there. Now, for Classic, he does have a lot invested on getting this done. This did not come cheap. The third base, it's only just now coming online for Classic. The worker counts, they are dead even. But in terms of, you know, basically stopping that push in its track, Classic fully accomplished that objective. He's got Templars back at home that are gathering energy. Storm, unless it got canceled again in this game, I think has already been researched. And with the way he's maneuvering with these Templar, I'm pretty sure he has it already. Uh-oh. These armies are going to clash. These storms could be huge, Tasteless.
Yeah, he's going to come out here. These storms are pretty good. He's going to drive him back a little bit. Another storm's going to come down here.
Yeah, not the biggest connection with these storms, but I mean, look at how many Templar we have right now. This is kind of absurd for 8 minutes into the game to have this many storms available. You don't even really need to nail the perfect storms. You just kind of have to zone away the Terran army. With a medevac count down at 4, these stims plus the tick damage from that storm, I mean, those medevacs, they will be so low on energy for the foreseeable future. And now we have this Warp Prism getting ready to go into the main base.
Yeah, he's going to try to just force a Terran to keep protecting anything that's back at home. He's going to unload these Zealots. He might even want to do a warp in here. This is quite a bit. And, you know, it's getting worse here for Clem. Now, keep in mind, it's not like basically Protoss has stayed almost even in workers or expansions and everything in this game. So it's not like Classic has gotten to the point of no return where he's on 7 bases and Terran's on like 3 or maybe 4, right? And then it feels like the game's over. They've kind of stayed toe-to-toe. I mean, Classic, we talked about how he slows the game down a lot. He's slowed it down even more in this game. This is by far the slowest paced game here. He's just buying time over and over again.
Yeah, and I think it's a very smart way to play a map like Ultra Love. I want to see if Clem scans that Observer. There's only one Marine in the army. It would have taken forever.
The Observer placement in this game has been so good, by the way. So we have 2 armies roaming here. We've got the one that we just saw at the top left, but there's another one down here in the center right. And it seems like what Clem wants to do is hit 2 locations at once, but instead he's going to encounter Classic here in the middle of the map. Nice storm again.
Yeah, all those Marines getting very deep into the red, but Classic has to be careful right now having
Storming
these Templar. Yeah, I mean, he's got the energy to spare, right?
Yeah.
But the ghost count for Clem, it's getting quite high. I think we might be nearing, 6 or 7 ghosts already. We have 3 or 4 already here on the front line with many more in production. And Classic, is he actually going to take this fight? Mostly just zoning away the Terran player with these storms. These bridges are so hard to push through with Templar behind them.
Yeah, there's bridges on this map specifically. It's very, very hard to move out across them. It's why a lot of times you see armies moving to the right or the left side here in the middle. Clem does a pickup, and I gotta say, Classic's on the map a little bit more than I expected, which means a drop could be pretty devastating here for Classic, but we got to see the drop ships, medevacs, get over there first.
Yeah, Classic looks like he's going to be going and checking to see if there's a 4th base at that triangle expansion here for Clem. While he slowly takes a 4th base of his own. Second Robo Colossus going to be coming online here in a moment as Classic is finally going to be double expanding, it looks like, here with this probe down at the bottom right. I don't think he knows about that medevac drop, but there's a big engagement happening over here at the top left. Storm's mostly on the Widow Mines, wants to make sure those Zealots get maximum value, but the drop's already beginning here at the 3rd.
Yeah, huge drop here in the main. Classic doing a spectacular job defending in these other locations. Another storm comes down here on the drop. Clem going to have to pick this up momentarily. Realizes he can probably thin out these Zealots and keep fighting. I think Classic kind of getting fished out over here into this part of the map. I got to say, honestly, Clem, I think he could pull this off this game. That was a great amount of damage. And the slow play from Classic, because he's getting beaten up in the process, he's not getting to that gargantuan, unstoppable size.
Yeah, I think it was a smart approach from Classic, but when you play this style where you're taking up very slowly with the Colossi, you're expanding very slowly, your economy isn't developing quite at the pace that you would like it to, you kind of are itching for a fight. It's why we saw him move cross-map with those initial charge cells to take down those tanks. It's why we saw him move out subsequently with the Templar trying to find a really big fight, but the end result of not getting the damage done is that Clem has a much more powerful economy than Classic right now. It is Clem who's getting closer and closer to being maxed. And, frankly, even when we talk about the development of these armies and how intricate they are, the Viking count is starting to go up with double starport, the upgrades. Clem's going to have the lead in there. We have a ton of ghosts on the field already. This is a very good position now for the Terran player.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the game that Clem needed to play. Classic, if this was another game, he probably would be on, base 6 or something like that. I mean, he's done a pretty good job, but, Clem's played such a tight game, kind of being in Classic's face. Classic has actually shown a lot of respect by really dialing back his growth. So they're kind of in this funny spot where they're sort of even on bases. But, you have the Colossus tech, you have obviously the charge lots and the Psy Storm here. So as far as tech goes, I think Classic has basically completed what he needs.
Oh, big engagement. This is Classic's full force here at the center of the map. Clem does have another force all the way over the 9 o'clock position, getting ready to attack the 4th of Classic. That Nexus might go down, and what is Classic going to do? We don't have a recall coming in just yet. Instead, he is committing right into the heart of the Terran machine.
Yeah, he's going to just go inside the base and squat there, basically tearing up all the infrastructure. This is going to force Clem to turn around. The Colossi are just like hanging out down here at the bottom, not protected. He's going to strafe them back. The Psy Storms are incredible here. But does Clem have enough? If Clem can't hold this, he's going to lose the game right here, right now.
Yeah, the Storms are very good for a moment, but the EMPs connecting on all of those Templar means they have to morph into Archons. Those are quickly going to be going down right now, and it feels like with these reinforcements coming back from Clem, he might have just barely enough here to stabilize. Do not forget Classic, he has been reset down to 4 bases, and with Clem, excuse me, cleaning up this army right here by Clem, I'm looking at this, and I feel like Clem is in a tremendous position. I mean, Classic, just 3 expansions.
He needs to repair this command center. This is going to burn down. Is he not going to get this?
Oh, no.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, but that is really bad, actually.
Yeah, he might not notice.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Okay, finally.
Okay. So he's coming back, and this is the counterpunch. Clem wants to try to end the game now. Remember, Classic's on 3 bases. Clem's about to go up to 5. Nice storm.
Yeah, but those Templar, they're very clumped. This one Templar here on the back is going to be able to get a small connection right there. And you see Clem right now, he's fishing with these Cloak Ghosts to try and get the big EMP connection. We have 3 storms available left with this army. Colossi going to be coming in from the high ground. 2 of them, in fact, as Classic now collapsing on this position. Clem is going to retreat. I feel like this is a fight that Classic can take, but I'm looking at the army supplies, and I think there's a lot more for Clem that he is loading up with right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is I gotta say, Clem did it. He played the game, and you know, it's funny how it looked, because it was such a pressure-based game. It did basically mess up the rhythm of what Classic does. And then, you know, Classic with this crazy attack in there. I do think, by the way, that Classic could have done better in that attack in the main. He let a lot of Zealots and Stalkers fight the command center that was, you know, burning, that we were talking about. He might have been able to take a better fight there in the middle. But regardless, I mean, Clem is on the path to victory. He's going to try to come up here and stomp out this base, which is going to really, you know, cause Classic to be in pretty bad economic positions here.
That Classic needs a big win right now. Oh, that EMP clutch catching the 2 frontline Templar. Another EMP catching another Templar. I'm not sure how many more storms we have available. I think it's just this one lone Templar on the top right. And so right now, Clem is just destroying this position. The storm is not going to be enough. Not with all those medevacs here for Clem.
Wow.
And he is going to get one on the board. It was a slow burn, but it paid off in the end. And we have a series tasteless.
That was sick. I'm so happy that wasn't a 4-0, by the way. Clem now on the path to a comeback. He did it once. By the way, that was not an easy game.
That was a tough one.
Yeah. He had to sweat it out in that game to make that work. But what he was doing was he was really getting in Classic's face, forcing Classic to expand slower, to try to stop these pushes from coming out. And Classic didn't die to that, but he also didn't have the size and scope that of bases, of infrastructure that he would get in these other games that we saw in previous RSL matches.
Yeah, Classic was basically just puffing up his chest. He's like, I'm not going to take a 3rd base. I'm going to go up to 5 gateways with Storm, with Charge, with a Robo, and I'm going to hope that you attack enemy. And he was fishing for those fights, and Clem never gave it to him. He just continually developed very slowly. He would take these engagements that he can disengage from if he needs to.
Right, exactly.
Very smartly. And the end result of that is that Classic is going into a mid-game with, by far, the worst economic outlook that he had the entire series. And maybe that's the game that Clem needs to play if he wants to come back in this best of 7.
But the problem is when you're down 1-3, this is a lot of breathing room for Classic to fine-tune his play, to make those adjustments, to maybe do a cheese, or just do a completely different style. There's so many different approaches that you can have here as Protoss. It's why, you know, if you go to a Game 7 in a best of 7, a lot of times it's a back and forth, right? It's not like this guy won all his points over here, and then the other player won all the other points and actually took it. So it doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's going to be extremely challenging.
Yeah, I'm not sure Clem's going to be able to do it, but man, I would love to see us go all the way to a Game 7.
If you're enjoying the RSL, consider signing up for our Patreon. It's patreon.com/ReviveSC2. We've got different tiers depending on what you can give here. The more you give, the more you're going to get out of this tournament. We're giving voting rights on maps and players. You can get your name in the credits. We're trying to get to our goal to have a offline event here in Seoul, where we'll be basically renting one of these big esports studios or arenas. So consider signing up. We want to be carrying the torch of StarCraft 2 after we finish the Esports World Cup this year. You know, we had a year of a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity about what was going to happen with StarCraft 2, and we thought, okay, why don't we have autonomy? Why don't we just get together and make our own seasonal tournament? And that's exactly what we did. So consider signing up for that Patreon. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue on here with the RSL Finals. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We are continuing on here with the RSL Finals. Clem has started the comeback. The dream is alive. The question is, can he do it 3 more times in a row versus maybe the best Protoss vs. Terran player we've ever seen?
Yeah, this is going to be a massive uphill struggle for Clem. Getting 1 on the board is all you really need, though, to start that comeback, of course. So maybe the momentum starts to swing a little bit. Maybe Classic starts to get in his own head a little bit here as well. Once you're on the 3-0, it's kind of... Sometimes you might feel like, oh, okay, well, I just have all the room in the world to just do whatever I want. You know, the win will come. Maybe I lose a game or whatever. I'll just, get it the next game. But then maybe that just keeps happening. And suddenly you're in a 3-3, and now the momentum is fully switched, and now the pressure's on. So that's always a possibility.
You do not want to let up in a moment like this. I mean, Classic should be hell-bent on trying to end this series and move on as the RSL champion. Clem, I mean, the last game was very technical. Yeah. There was a lot of tactical plays there in the middle of the map, and Clem just kind of generating a lot of threats on the board. I do feel like if you're going to play against Classic, you can't both be playing single player. Yeah. You can't both be just making your buildings and taking bases. I think you really have to be kind of on top of Classic all the time, because he plays really slow at the start, right, and really safe, but by the time you get to the mid game, if you're not controlling him, he'll get up to like 7 bases. Yeah, you can't just let Classic just get up to that many bases. He's going to just fully run rampant. It has to be a really loud mid game from the Terran, I think. We're actually in our game now, so we're going to throw that up on screen for you guys. It is Classic here in the top right and Clem here in the bottom left. Yes, and Ley Lines is the map, the most standard map overall, so both players feeling likely very comfortable here. But, I mean, yeah, like you said, it feels like Clem really has to make sure he gets some sort of foothold going into the mid-game, because that is how he's going to find any sort of leverage going later on into the game. Classic, generally in these games that he's won, he feels the strongest in that mid-game transition point where he's able to take, one kind of big swingy fight that just lets him then continue on and snowball it slowly for the rest of the game. Whereas Clem, when he finally got that one last time, it felt like he actually did kind of almost lost, I feel like, in that early stage of the game where he was getting kind of like pushed up into his natural very early on. He got kind of caught with the tanks and stuff like that. But then he was able to actually recoup pretty well and actually regain that momentum. And so it's really critical here that he finds some tempo going into this mid game. Yeah, so let's see what kind of game that's going to be exactly here. And again, I don't want to be too deterministic with what Classic's going to do, right? It's just he has had a very thematic play style. Yeah. And he's sort of the resurrection of the macro, straight-up Protoss play. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think when people think Protoss, you think Zerg, right? You think swarmy stuff. Terran, you think a lot of pushes. But Protoss, there's a lot of deception. There's a lot of really kind of fun, crazy strategies you can do. But you don't have to play like that, right? I mean, there's super cheesy Zergs that aren't swarmy at all, right? And there's super slow. I play them on the ladder all the time. Yeah. It's really annoying. It feels like that's all there is on the ladder sometimes. But a Terran, I mean, there's also very, very slow kind of macro play Terran. Anyways, yeah, let's see what Classic's going to do here. But Clem at least found a solution in that last game. Yeah, he's going to be opening for a double gas this time, again going for the early Reaper, likely Reaper Hellion style, which has been pretty common from the Terrans overall. Looks like Adept first coming here from Classic. He likes to switch this up a lot, just kind of making it a little bit difficult for the Terran opponent to know exactly what he wants to do. He's never doing exactly the same thing every single time, and even going to be doing a second Adept as well with a faster Twilight. So doesn't just go always Stalker into Sentry into Adept or whatever, or anything like that. Nicely done from Clem to keep that just barely out of range. I thought he was going to lose it, actually. Yeah, it's really deceptive. I also feel like that sometimes when I'm playing. It's like, I'm like, oh, I got it. And then it just somehow runs just barely far enough away. I'm like, God, what the heck? Like, insane. Double Reaper is going to be finding this Adept in the middle of the map, so that will at least get that information that it is getting sent across. But like I was saying, Classic likes to mix this up and doesn't keep himself super predictable. Even though he's going for similar styles, he gets there in different ways. Okay, so we've got the gateway warping in here at the entrance. He's made a little bit of a wall there. And, I'm waiting to see, we've got the blink coming here for the Stalkers. Probably going to be that Templar Archives like we've already seen. Probably another gateway after that, right? A late third. This is basically the play. And this basically makes it so that you can't be killed by almost anything right away. I mean, a lot of other Protoss players were taking a third base around now.
Yeah.
But clearly Classic has this kind of different approach. And by the way, you know, a lot of times we'll have a player that comes out with something, and we look at it, we go, that's kind of a funny way to play the game. You know, it's not what everybody else is doing. And then it starts to work so well that everybody kind of shifts into that. I do think we are about to enter this, or if we're not already in this meta of PvT, which is just the slow cook play.
Yeah, for sure. He's also going to be going for the earlier Robo a little bit just to make sure he gets that up, and also his third gas as well. Okay, so I was going to say maybe he goes for something a little bit more aggressive, but the third gas makes me think maybe not, but we'll see exactly what Classic's got cooked up here. He, like I said, he kind of gets into the same thing with different ways overall. Double Mind Drop going to be going into the natural here. A little bit of a late pull from Classic there, but just barely in time, so that double What Mine won't really do too much at all. Even a nice force field at the end. Make sure that nothing gets away.
Yeah.
Medevac, luckily, though, with 6 health, will run on back home. But an excellent defense from Classic.
I mean, that was great. It's kind of a funny interaction. Every once in a while I'll see something in StarCraft 2 and I'll go, yeah, I guess I never saw that before. that was one of them where the Sentry almost kills the Medevac and then traps the Widow Mine with a force field to kill it. So there's a Warp Prism coming up here. Now, a lot of times in my casts, I'll say, oh, if we see a Warp Prism, it means there's going to be an attack, and usually that's true. I think this is going to be just like a 4-stalker harass.
Yep.
That he's going to fly in there. And what he's doing is he's creating a pin. He forces the Terran to stay back and respect the threats that Protoss are doing. And he's going to take a third base. So this is actually, am I wrong about this? This is a quicker third than we've seen in other games. Right?
Slightly, yeah. It's still generally pretty late when it comes to Terran versus Protoss in like historically or whatever. Usually you get like, you know, the 4-minute thirds and stuff like that, but the 5-minute third is definitely a little bit later, but not quite as late as some of the times Classic has gone for. And like you said, the Warp Prism is going to just be for those that 4-stalker drop. 4 stalkers, of course, is the key amount that you need to one-shot SCVs, so that's why exactly he's going for this. Might even just find the Raven, though. That's actually nice. We'll get that before it's able to really do anything. Blink to the side, pick everything on up. Should not lose a single unit. That was perfect from Classic, and could even come back in later for more SCV damage.
That literally could not have gone better. That was like basically perfect.
Yeah.
Now he's got to be careful, man. You know, if he loses this Warp Prism, Terran can just push out on the map. We're having 5 gateways come down here. Storm is about to finish. And I think Clem, I mean, Stim's actually not done here. He's trying to just run underneath this without Stim. There really is nothing worse than Marines without Stim, by the way. This is my big takeaway.
Yeah, no, they're not great at all.
It's like the Warp Prism can like run circles around the Marines, and there's nothing they can do. Stim is done now, but it wasn't done when that first fight was occurring.
Oh, it's so unlucky that the Medevac gets picked off earlier as well, though, because Clem was just trying to take advantage of the units not really reacting, or it seemed like. So unfortunately got just a little bit sloppy with the Medevac and does lose it early. You don't really want to be losing those. They're super beneficial as they go later into the game. The random Reaper and double Reaper and Hellion will find their way back into the third base, get a couple pros, which is actually not bad considering those are really not supposed to do any more damage for the rest of the game, so that's actually pretty nice. We'll keep some of them alive to throw back in later to add to the chaos. As double Medevac drop is going to be sent over to the right-hand side. Will this get scouted from Classic? I'm not sure if that observer saw it earlier or not, but it seems like he's just kind of prepared for this anyway, just is generally always aware of when these different types of attacks can happen, and generally is very good at splitting up his army to make sure he can defend against whatever's coming his way.
Okay, so this is the moment where it's going to be Clem's turn. Now, Clem is really preferred to have like 2 or 3-pronged attacks versus like an actual push. So he's going to come in here. He eats a storm, but he's also going to wrap around here and try to hit the third base. Oh, no, he's actually being pretty careful here. I think he's basically like, okay, are you on 4 bases? No? Okay, well then let me back up here. I'm not going to feed into you. Because a lot of what happens in these games is Classic is basically just like turtling and defending and storming stuff and taking nexuses. And it's like the Terran is just bouncing off of the Protoss. The Protoss gets bigger and bigger.
Just got this giant bubble. It's like a giant yoga ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Just tries to jump on it, immediately gets bounced back. Yeah, it feels like some of the Terrans kind of maybe overextend a little bit with their aggression, trying to abuse the... Because generally when it is a Storm opener, it's hard to split up the units properly, and you can kind of pick them apart with big drops, and it makes it very difficult sometimes. Oh, I like that. That was kind of cute, actually. Forcing the Stalkers to blink into the Widow Mines was an interesting interaction. But regardless, it's going to be a 4 Zealot drop in the main base, which will catch Clem off guard, and will be able to kill off some of these SCVs, whereas a push is happening down the middle of the map. Is Clem going to be prepared for this either? Because the units might just walk right into each other.
And Classic, you know, Classic's so nasty with his harass, but I think, yeah, he sees an opportunity to maybe come in here and try to poke out this third base. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. I think he might barely have enough, but if Protoss overextends here, that's going to be ideal. God, that's a big warp in, though. Oh,
nice
man.
EMP. That's actually excellent. There's only maybe 2 Templar with Storms at this point, and one of them is not even really going to get a good Storm off anyway. And we still have this flank coming in from the top side. This is very dangerous. Classic doesn't realize that those are there. There's no Storms that are going to be thrown down just yet. They're all in the Prism, and looks like Clem, until the end, is getting a couple great Storms, but Clem is actually surrounding this and taking it a dominant fight.
Oh my God, so it was an overextension. You know, we were talking about Classic not doing a lot of these kind of moves, and it was, but he sort of mixed it up and it backfired. I mean, he sort of stepped into the, you know, the position that got Clem into a really good spot. Now, Clem is going to try to ride this momentum out. The Warp Prism's far away enough, it can't really generate any threats on the board here, but what is back at home here for Classic? We haven't had a clear shot of it. Okay, here it is. It's like, it's very, very tier 1-ish.
Yeah.
I guess there's 1 Templar in there, but like, if you can just kite this correctly, you're going to wreck this.
Yeah, if we can get 1 EMP off on that 1 Templar as well, that could be huge. A couple more are coming in, reinforcing as well. Drop going to the right-hand side to try and split everything up, as there might not be defenses ready over there. Just a few Stalkers and the Prism, but that does have an Archon in it, so that will actually deal with those Marines pretty decently. We have to be very careful as Classic, as this is razor thin. Nice EMP on those double Templar on the right-hand side, forced into an Archon, and this massive wall of mines is limiting Classic, not allowing him to just go right on forward. Now that all the reinforcements are here is when he's going to try and go for it, and he will be able to dislodge this for now, but that's when the Marines come back into the natural as well to continue this chaotic moment.
Nice EMP over there, but did Clem overextend? God, the number of Marauders here is pretty scary. These Archons are so squishy right now. They have almost no shields. Barely manages to pick that up with the Warp Prism. It's still 3 base to 4 base, by the way. Although I guess Terran is going to have a 4th command center finishing up here. So, you know, Classic is pretty compacted right now. This is not the big, gargantuan, unstoppable Classic we're used to seeing. Clem is really making him work.
Yeah, and I think Clem actually notices exactly when these timings are happening, because he's got the Vikings ready for when this double Colossus transition usually happens. One of them immediately getting killed off before it's able to do anything, and now this is going to get really bad for Classic, because this is when generally he can get another big power spike, is when his double Colossus transition comes in, and the Terran, but like during all of that early game, is not really in the position to get the Vikings out just yet, and a big swing starts to happen. But that's not happened just yet. Luckily, that Prism actually just barely dodges that Widow Mine. That would have been a bit awkward there. But generally, Classic has found a nice timing window with those Colossus, and that is completely negated at this point. This Prism also going to get completely shut down. This is looking very good for Clem.
Yeah, Clem navigating his way into a late game that's looking really healthy for him. 4 bases to 4 bases. So Protoss, you know, when Clem gets, Classic is up to like 7 bases, like he just remakes everything so fast, right? There's like Templars at every base. He becomes untouchable, but that's not this kind of game right now. Now, Clem is not going to let up. He's maxing out, and he says it's time to try to trade the supply out. The question is going to be, with Storm and Colossuses, how will he handle that? Because you don't want to feed into him. He has to try to find an opening.
Yeah, you do still want to take some careful engagements as Clem. If you just walk right into a Protoss army unprepared, you're not going to be having a good time. So just making sure Clem is just to get all of the things set up, making sure that there's not Zealots going around different sides of the map or whatever to counterattack him when he goes for a big attack. Because that's when the Terrans can sometimes just falter a little bit, is when they're going across the map and then you have a 20 Zealot run by, just come in randomly at the 3rd base and wipe out an SCV line, and then suddenly go into the natural as well, and then you just start totally falling apart out of nowhere. But looks like from Clem's perspective, he's got a lot of that cleared up. There is a one on the left-hand side, which he will just barely miss for now, but he will be able to take advantage of this map control to kill off a right side base, continuing to constrict Classic into only 4. He's not able to get up to that crazy, 5, 6, 7 base count that sometimes he's able to in some of these crazy late game situations. So Clem definitely continuing to keep the pedal as pushed far as possible so that way he continues to get this tempo. Don't laugh at me again! Don't do it!
How hard is he pushing that pedal?
He's pushing it
He's
so
pushing
hard.
It so hard.
His foot is into the ground.
Yes. I love it. We have a small amount of Zealots coming across here. They're, oh my god, hold on. Big attack over here in the middle as Clem's army's getting chased away. And is Classic going to try to push up all the way? I feel like both these guys can't really move into each other's turfs.
Yeah,
you know
definitely not. Definitely not when Clem's pushing that pedal all the way to the ground.
All
man.
the way
Not
to the
impossible.
ground. The pedal's not even going to come back up when he stops. He won't depress now. He's pushing so hard.
Oh my god. Well, a couple of Widow Mines actually going to deny this space on the right side. That's actually a great little investment. I like that from Clem.
There's a chance he doesn't see that too, and he's like, I thought I sent a probe there.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
says,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
had so many games like that,
So
where it's like
annoying.
a DT's killing something. I'm like, I swear to God, I'm trying
Oh my god,
to.
this EMP is
Oh,
huge!
he
On
got
every
all
single
the one.
Templar! That's ridiculous! The 2 hero ghosts out of nowhere will be able to get that. Can Clem actually capitalize on this, though, is the question. That's so much energy just completely gone.
I mean, that was massive. Forcing them into Archons. We are getting into, like, supreme late game here. Clem is going to try to press his advantage here. He's going to throw down these Liberators. Kind of not a great angle here. The Stalkers can take this on pretty easily. Classic's supply is beginning to plummet here. The question is, does he have enough pushback? I just see Stalkers here. I think Clem might be about to win this game.
A second set of EMPs got off on the other Templar as well. Going off of the initial one was absolutely excellent from Clem. Just pushing the issue now. There's no Colossus, no Templar. It's a couple of Archons as your splash damage. That is not what you want in a 15-minute macro game against this fully stacked out Clem army. And he is really going to try to just continue this snowball. He doesn't want to let off at this point. Double Colossus in the production tab right now from Classic. He needs something because his army is so brittle. These Templar, all these things trying to get warped in, or just dying immediately as pylons are getting sniped even. It looks like Clem has 1 million sensor towers also overlapping each other. This looks kind of funny on the minimap. So he definitely knows that there's nothing happening over there, and he's fully prepared to just go right into the natural here.
We've got these Liberators thrown down over here. The Colossus is going to be picked off, and I think this game is basically over. We have so many more units rallying in here. Clem has done it again. Classic has been taken down. These games are wild, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, you can see the adjustments that Clem has made here. He's not overextending. He's doing a good job of basically having so many potential threats, but not always using them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like in the earlier games, he would attack in and basically bleed off his whole army, and then either Classic gets too big or Classic just has a counter punch that comes out and ends the game. Here, he's like generating a threat. The moment he realizes he can't get in, he backs back out. And at the very end there, I mean, those EMPs on the Templars, that was, I think, 6 Templars.
It was insane. It was 1 EMP as well,
Yeah.
which was insane. Cloaking them, just sending them forward. I think he had a scan maybe that saw them moving out of position. He's like, hold up.
Yeah.
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
I can do something here.
Yeah, there's going to be some opportunity created here when all those storms are out of the game. Crazy stuff, guys. Can we throw the Patreon up on screen here? No, never mind. We're going to do the YouTube this time.
YouTube.
Guys, go subscribe to our YouTube. We're trying to grow this thing. We've actually it's been growing pretty fast, but we need it to grow even faster. Well, a lot of you cannot watch, if you're an English speaker, this isn't the most convenient time zone, being an Asian broadcast here. But you can find every episode of the RSL spoiler-free on our YouTube. So that way you can enjoy this. And look, obviously we're in the finals right now, but there's going to be Season 2. That's just around the corner after the Esports World Cup. So go there, like the videos, leave a comment. That really helps us in the algorithm. We want all the StarCraft 2 fans that tend to consume content on YouTube to be able to find us on there. And also join us on X.
Yeah, we got all the different updates coming from there as well, so you can know exactly what's going on, see all the results and everything, so you'll be all up to date. So yeah, it's going to be all good there. If you can follow us, it would be sick. Drop your comments, talk about whatever you want, get some crazy comment chains going. Help us
right.
on the algorithm.
Yes, please. We're going to take a short little break. When we come back, the RSL Finals will continue on. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be hopping into our next game here. Right now, Clem has won 2 games. Classic was on an absolute tear. He won 3 in a row, and we all kind of thought, like, well, this is it. You know, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
But Clem's doing it. I mean, if Clem wins one more game, we're going to go to match point.
Yeah, Clem has done a very good job of kind of throwing Classic a little bit off balance. We saw 2 games ago in game number 4, Classic had to kind of go into his shell a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And played this slow game, was never able to get critical damage done on Clem, and Clem grew too big, too strong. And then that previous game, I was kind of shocked watching from the couch. Like, wait, Classic is moving out. This is when he does the robo transition, right? This is when we get 2 Colossi coming online. But instead, Classic had so much invested in that attack. Clem was able to parry it, and hey, man, it was 3-0. Now it's 3-2. Clem is bringing it back.
This is sick. I'm very, very pleased with this. I mean, I'm you know, this tournament has been so great so far. It's been such a pleasure to put this on and produce it. But I was kind of like, oh man, we have like a 4-0. This kind of, you know, 4-0s are brutal, right? But Clem is kind of concocted a play style that is like both in your face but never overextending. And it seems to be working. In Classic, I think starting to realize, okay, I need to end this now, or Clem is going to have one of the greatest reverse sweeps in StarCraft 2 history.
Well, game number 6 is loaded up. Can Clem continue his hot streak and bring us to a game 7, or is Classic going to be the RSL Season 1 champion? Classic, the blue Protoss spawning in the bottom left. Clem, the red Terran in the top right. Oh, we have been treated to a fantastic series so far, Tasteless.
Yeah, you know, it's rare that you see somebody come back after getting beaten down that badly. I guess the truth is, inside of the matches, the games have been back and forth, with the exception of StarCraft 1, which was, you know, Clem had this, like, you know, Classic basically pulled off like a neck-breaking move by killing the 2 medevacs that were going to drop. You know, every game, Clem just kind of staying, you know, macro-oriented, trying to get into a good spot while eventually putting the pressure onto Classic here. Now, I don't know if we're going to have any cheeses on either side or any surprises. I sort of, my gut tells me that these games are probably going to look like this next game here is going to look like the last 2 on some level. The question is, can, you know, Classic manage to force Clem out, or is Clem going to keep coming back?
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like Clem has done a very good job of adjusting over the last 2 games. And I think that you put it very succinctly, where he's putting pressure on to Classic to force Classic to slow everything down, slow down the rate of expansion, slow down the rate of tech, at least, you know, the transition into Colossi, the Forge upgrades, and then just never overextend, because especially in that game number 4, Classic was just kind of waiting with open arms, like, please attack enemy. I've got all these gateways, I've got all this storm, I've got charge, I want to fight. Clem never gave it to him, was able to slow him down enough. Hey, it's been a winning, oh, is he going to get that probe? Oh man, I'm watching some jukes right now. Oh, the shield, 2 HP, all right.
Barely gets out. So Terran's going to go for the 1-1-1, Barracks, Factory, Starport, while we continue to see the teching here.
Yeah, just a 1-gas opening here for Clem, too.
Pretty hyped that Clem has managed to make these adjustments and come back like this. I mean, this is really the sign of a great player, is, you know, he is losing each game, but it's like new wrinkles are forming in his brain as he is figuring out.
Yeah, he's young enough.
He's
His brain is still malleable,
Yes,
unlike ours.
he's still making the adaptations in his play to the point where in the middle of a finals, he's starting to swing it back. Like the pendulum's going in the opposite direction now, as far as who's you know, playing better here.
Yeah, those are always my favorite finals, when you just see somebody slowly adjusting to the opponent.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Hero versus Cure, where Cure just kept going for all those SCV pulls, and Hero kept trying these slightly different variations on how to deal with them, and eventually had the answer. Yeah, it's good stuff. Is Clem? Ooh, some really fancy micro right there. Garrisoning in the CC and then popping out on the side.
SCV parkours through the CC, goes to the bunker over there.
Oh, that SCV can't do it.
That SCV tried to go inside the factory. Didn't work out. That was a sick move, though. Blink is coming. And again, you know, we're seeing the same building blocks get put in place that we've seen in so many of these other games.
Yeah, second adept is going to be coming in, but we'll just shade on back home. right now is, oh, it's actually staying here in the front line. Sometimes when you see these Hellion openings come out like this here, as Classic, you're usually pretty timid with the follow-up adept because you do not want it to get chased down, but yeah, he just stuck around a little bit longer. I think was potentially looking to see, are we going to have more Hellions come out? Is there going to be a potential Hellion timing attack with this? But instead, Clem just developing very normally. Looks like it's going to be a 6 Marine drop with a Widowmine.
Yeah, so we have the third Nexus being taken here again.
Quite rapidly.
Yeah, this is a quicker Nexus than before. So I think what Classic's trying to do is he's saying, well, maybe we should just try to get the 3 bases up and then play defense versus play defense and then to get the 3 bases. You get the 3rd base when we feel safe, right? I mean, that was sort of his move before, but he's going to go back into, I guess, what we call like a more mainline opening, so to speak. The Marines are going to gun down the Adept. You know, so far, Clem, you know, maintaining what I guess we could call that cautious aggression of taking out only exactly what you can get, but never overextending. And so the Robo started here. Now, the Hellion is going to see the 3rd base, so he knows, okay, tempo-wise, this is more like a lot of the other games that, you know, we've seen here historically in StarCraft 2. So Clem's going to run in. He's going to burrow this Widowmine up here. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that blink into the Widowmine means a lot of damage on these Stalkers, and one of them's going to go down. These probes, they cannot resaturate. There is no shield battery here in the main base. Already 2 workers going down. This is a nice trade so far for Clem. Being able to get a Stalker, get 3 probes with that, you absolutely will take that kind of deal. And now the damage might continue to pile on. We have a shield battery. I think it's morphing in the main base, but the Banshee's heading on into the 3rd. Might be able to find some damage. Cloak is done. I think that's the first Observer finishing right now from the Robo.
I think you're correct here. So the Banshee's going to come through. He's going to... Oh, he's going to not... Okay. So weird. This is a weird moment here. So he's going to try to kill off these 2 probes that are running out here. 4 Stalkers are just headed right up to the north. And a lot of times you keep the Stalkers right outside the terrace base to kind of check.
Benny Hill music playing right now as these probes basically run all the way around the map trying to avoid this Banshee. I've never seen probes run so far away from a Banshee. Eventually they do get found.
Yeah, just gets executed right there. I didn't see a 3rd CC, right?
No, there's no third CC.
Okay, so he's just on 2 bases. So what he's doing is he's going to wind up with an attack pretty soon here. Although I guess now that I think about it, no, sorry, he starts a command center. So he is going to have an attack coming up here, but this is not one where it's hinged on like ending the game.
Yeah,
right?
But with the 3rd CC this late, I feel like there is some potential to get damage done right now from Classic. And actually, did we see? Yeah, I think we saw Charge get canceled there by Classic, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I didn't know. That's a good catch, State. I actually would have missed that. So the Templar Archives is coming down here. He wants to get Psystorm. Stim's about halfway done. And look, I mean, this basically means Terran can push before Storm is done.
Right. Yeah, Storm coming in a little bit faster with that Forge. Interesting change there by Classic. I feel like I only saw Charge on the production tab for a moment, but it will be 2 more Banshees coming in from Clem as they work their way all the way around the edge of the map. Getting closer and closer to that 3rd base, but... Oh,
he's going to miss this entirely. This whole army is moving through a blind spot.
This is,
by the way, this happens to me a lot. I relate to this. Where I go, how did he get to my base all of a sudden? I go, oh, I wasn't actually watching the entire exit. I mean, this is very good for Classic, because right now Classic thinks that Clem is still powering. So this is going to be like a jump scare push.
It really will. And I'm pretty sure that Charge is not done, that it got canceled so that we have +1 and Storm coming in. We're going to see if that's correct in a moment right now as we get a look at these Zealots, because Clem is already at the front door here of Classic. Okay, it seems like, yeah, Charge actually did finish. Okay, it was done faster than I thought. All right. That will make holding this push a lot easier. But, I mean, two Widowmines like this, with the bio already pushing in, taking down a ton of gateways. We have 5 seconds till Storm is done. This is a hard position to break out right now for Classic, especially with these reinforcements coming in, Tasteless.
Clem's splitting is really good. Okay, so he baits out those 2 Storms. He keeps a lot of the Marines in the back here in a safe spot. Okay, so there's 2 Banshees up here. I mean, this is a really hard spot to get into, and I think Clem is going to ditch it. He's going to leave 1 Widowmine, just something to kind of get in the way. And he's going to merge back. Oh, my God. He's so good. Okay, but here we go. Classic's going to dive in. He takes the tank out of Storm. Blankets that area. Just a couple of Marines left over here. There is another separate army moving down over here onto the side. And I don't know if Classic's going to be ready for this.
Yeah, with energy recharge, can't have at least one more storm available right now as Classic, he's bringing the entire army because Clem has his main force still in the middle of the map. This isn't too much of an overextension for Classic, committing everything to defending the right side, but now the Banshee's coming into the natural expansion. Clem, he's got a supply lead and he is not done yet, Tasteless.
Yeah, Clem doing the damage. The Banshee Wrecking Ball coming through here, just taking out, you know, workers wherever he can. And look, man, it's 3 base versus 3 base right now. Where's the Observer?
Oh, it's not with the army right now.
Yeah, I think Classic actually thought he did have an Observer with that group, but Clem starts to realize, oh, there's nothing over here. So finally he comes up here, he takes out those 2 Banshees. Clem in a supply lead, bigger army, and no 4th base yet for Classic.
Yeah, Classic. That I was going to say the second Robo and the Robo Bay are going to have to come online very soon here because Clem, as soon as he gets these ghosts, we have seen how potent he can be with those EMPs. They have been clutch over the past couple of days. As Classic will be taking a 4th base behind all of this, and usually this is the stage in the game where Classic tries to get some breathing room while those double Robo Colossi come online by getting aggressive, but with already ghosts entering the field, and Clem's army being as substantial as it is, I'm a little bit concerned about this push out, Tasteless.
Yeah, he's going to try to come and attack in over here. The stem is just driving back all these units. Classic's going to warp in here. I don't think this Viking can kill this in time. Yeah, it needs one more missile. So all these Zealots are going to be in the main. Classic's going to try to lean onto that command center on the outside while the Zealots just thrash the interior here of the Terran's base.
Yeah, Marines coming up that ramp will be able to defuse the situation here in the main base. And Clem, he wasn't able to get EMP connections on the Templar, but still, Classic, he's showing a lot of respect because this is such a hard concave to attack into at that Terran 3rd base. Instead, he's going to retreat. First 2 Colossi already halfway done, and a lot more upgrades coming in right now for Protoss.
Yeah, you can see Classic, his 4th base is in the bottom. He's just hugging the bottom of the map right now, trying to stay as far away from the push distance as possible from the Terran. Clem with a huge pickup. This is 4 medevacs moving out on the map. And there's also the 4th base we could see in that little the command center hologram. There's going to be a command center landed there soon. Now, the way that Classic's expanding and he's kind of reaching into this bottom right corner means maybe this drop could be huge inside the main.
Yeah, we do have that initial photon cannon and the shield battery, but not much left for Classic, as he is going to be moving out on the map. Clem's going to have to be very careful that he doesn't unwittingly run into this army, as he's actually going to send 1 Stim Marine kind of to clear the pathway first. I like this a lot, but still Classic, he is roaming over here in the top left. He does not know about this Terran army, though, right in the corner.
Okay, he's going to move up into the side. So they're about to both hit each other. This could be very base trade-ish. Does he not know this army's here?
I don't think either player has any idea.
Yeah, I think they are both completely unaware that they are both about to be hit by each other.
Yeah, Classic just continuing to stay.
No, I think he scanned. I think he sees it.
Does he? I guess with the sensor tower, he saw something in the middle, but I feel like Clem would be hightailing out of there with that army on the left side if he knew that there was so much over here on the left.
No, I was wrong. Yeah, he does not actually see it. So he's going to see this moving here now. So he's going to stem, and he realizes, whoa, I need to stay away from these side storms.
Wait, you have how much over here in the top left?
Yeah.
You see on the bottom right, Clem is stimming and charging down to those expansions while he comes into the main base. So likely we will have a recall here in the main. For now, it's just these 2 Templar dropping in some storms. This bio very low on HP, as now Clem has his eyes set, but already Templar waiting for them. You see how low HP the bio is. Those initial storms very clutch by Classic off screen.
Yeah, beautifully done. You know, the reality is that Clem didn't really get anything done, right? We're back into a game where Classic seems to be invincible. Like, you know, the Terran is once again bouncing off of the Protoss. Classic is bringing his entire army together here in the center. I don't know if this is going to work. It's pretty hard to push into a Terran that's in an entrenched position. This is a lot of Colossi.
Yeah, it is a lot of Colossi. There's only 1 Observer on the map, by the way, and we do have Cloak for these Ghosts. So I'm wondering, okay, the Observer is here with the main army. If that gets sniped, be a very dangerous position here for Classic, as he's actually going to commit right now. Zealots charging in, Colossi on the backline getting some very good connections. Is he actually going to try and break through? Those additional command centers really complicate matters right now in the pathing, and here comes Clem.
He's moving in. We've got 1 hallucinated Colossus in the front. It's soaking up a little bit of damage. A big warp in behind this. Clem has to defend this or he will lose the game. And it's a little bit tricky to get in here. Nice blink with the Stalkers, taking out some of the Vikings. Right now it's Clem at 174 supply, Classic at 189.
The Warp Prism did get taken out by one of those last volleys from the Vikings, so the big Remax potential that is a trademark of this play style, where Classic sometimes will go up to 20-ish gateways, is not going to be a play. Instead, he's going to remake that. He's going to pull back. I like this a lot because Classic, sometimes with these late game fights, it feels like his approach is not to take the perfect engagement, it's to take an engagement that's just good enough that the 20 or so units that warp in behind it can be the finishing blow. And so the moment that Warp Prism goes down, he immediately retreats, he resets, and now things are going to slow down a little bit. We do have a Liberator down here getting some damage done in the bottom right.
And I mean, we're getting to that gargantuan number of bases. Classic just started his 7th base, tucked away in this top left corner. A lot of times the game kind of ends when Classic takes the other 2 corners of the map with bases. That's when you kind of know, all right, well, he's so big now, it's just hard to deal with. Now, Terran may inadvertently stumble upon that hidden base. Now there's a push coming up here from the south.
Yeah, that EMP from Clem was huge, though. Caught all but one of those Templars, so only 1 Storm available with this army, but still, a lot of range DPS with those Archons, the Stalkers, and of course, the Colossi here on the front line with +3 ground weapons is Classic. He's going to try and abuse mobility a little bit here. Those Liberators are probably going to have to re-siege if Classic decides to push up on this ramp, and indeed he will. Tasteless. Classic with a big blink forward. He's coming in.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good angle, though, here for Clem. The question is, does he have enough? The Colossi beginning to slowly get taken out. Actually, excuse me, 2 Colossi are going to remain, and there's no more Vikings here.
Yeah, the anti-air is very sparse right now for the Terran. These low HP Colossi getting so much damage done. The Warp Prism remaining alive right now, shuffling the injured Colossi back, allowing these Zealots to provide a buffer so the Marines and Marauders cannot close the distance right now. Some fancy micro from Classic, and for Clem, he's in dire straits.
Yeah, another big warp in comes in. I think this is going to be it. Classic has done it. He has wedged himself in between everything that Clem has, and everything is falling apart now for Clem.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the twilight of this game right now as Classic blinks forward yet again, taking down this planetary fortress in the top left side. The natural expansion, the 3rd base, the 4th base, they are in shambles. GG, well played. And Tasteless, Classic is going to be the RSL Season 1 champion.
Congratulations to Classic, our first ever RSL champion. Just destroying Terran after Terran after Terran. I think Clem put up a great fight, by the way. It was interesting to see, you know, Clem managed to kind of solve the hyper-conservative slow cook play from Classic, but then what Classic did is he just switched right back into more standard 3rd base openings here, and Clem wasn't able to punish it right away. And then he just, you know, went right back into that kind of growth Protoss, right? I'm just going to keep taking bases. I'm not going to take fights I won't win. I'm more interested in defending your attacks than trying to figure out how to stop you from growing.
I mean, Clem looked stronger and stronger as the series went on, but Classic just able to pull the rabbit out of the hat, it feels like, in that last game. I was really liking Clem's position as we were entering the mid-game and the late game, but Classic is just so decisive with these engagements, and I love the playstyle that he goes with, where he tries to really leverage the eco advantage with just almost an unreasonable number of gateways. The reinforcements that come in is some of the most powerful thing I have seen for these timing attacks in a long time in PvT.
I loved it. This was a great series. Congratulations to Classic being our very first ever champion. This has been so cool. And thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Yeah, how many days was this season? Was this a
12 days,
12
I think.
days. This has been a blast, guys. We've had so much fun doing this. And shout outs to our production staff over here. You guys were great. Could not have done it without you. Thank you to Mappo for observing. The people that helped build this set. Shout outs to Twitch. They put us on the front page.
Yeah.
We were on there for about an hour. So, you know, if you guys found us there and are sticking with us, we appreciate that. Let's thank our sponsors now. We got archonstudio, guys. They were the official broadcast partner of Season 1. Thank you so much, archonstudio. Because of these guys, we were able to double the prize pool. The StarCraft tabletop miniatures game is going to be available for pre-order later this year. What they've actually got a bunch of other great stuff. that I'm going to be ordering soon. I'm going to wait for the tabletop set to come out, and then I want to get a bunch of other cool stuff. They had like Heroes of Might and Magic tabletop games and all sorts of other amazing products on their site. These guys are really the premier tabletop miniatures game company. So we appreciate them supporting StarCraft. Thank you guys so much.
And of course, we also sincerely appreciate your support for being part of the RSL. If you enjoy the show and you want to join us, go to patreon.com/ReviveSC2. Not only do we have the tiers right here, but there's a lot more behind the scenes that you can go for. I mean, there's extra content you guys can get in the group stages. We had a lot of players voted in by the fans. Additionally, a lot of the cool maps that we got featured here in the RSL, they were voted in by the community. They were TLMC maps that made it into this season. Didn't make it into the ladder pool, but they have been so much fun to watch and cast.
100%. No, we've had some great maps that come out here because you guys were contributing and your voices were heard. We are hoping to reach our goal where we would do a live, like a offline event. We're going to rent out, an arena, and you can come watch live if you want. StarCraft 2 is going to live on. After the Esports World Cup, we fully plan to be committed to this game like we already have been. Check out the RSL merchandise, guys. This is another great way to support our endeavors here. We've got mugs, pins, hoodies, t-shirts, and all that. You can find that at my merch shop. It's tastelessthreads.com. We've got a whole bunch of other fun merchandise on there, too, so give it a go. Subscribe to our YouTube, please. By the way, I think the command in my Twitch chat was wrong earlier. I have my own personal YouTube where I put stuff on there. The RSL YouTube is separate. It's at ReviveSC2. If you search that on YouTube, we wanted to keep this kind of siloed into one place so we could follow the metrics really carefully and try to get further sponsors. And but because it's a brand new YouTube, it's hard to grow. So please subscribe to that. Leave a comment or like the videos on there. That's another excellent way to kind of help us get into the algorithm, get into the YouTube bloodstream so we can find more people that will be future fans of the show.
Yeah, and we also have a little bit of a surprise for you guys, too, here, as the RSL Season 2 schedule has already been released. This is going to be taking place starting September 4th. You see all the dates on screen. The qualifiers for RSL Season 2 will be happening in August. The finer details of that will be announced at a later date, but yeah, man, I am excited to continue on with the RSL here in 2025.
I'm pumped. So join us. That's going to be the first week of September. We've got a whole bunch of improvements we want to make for this show. We did have, we kind of wanted to start out somewhat basic and then see, okay, are we capable of doing this? It turns out yes. All right, we'll try to add on some more, features here in the show. But yeah, we are super excited to be starting here with Season 2. With the set we've built and the equipment we've bought and the staff we've got trained here. I think we're going to have another amazing season.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. I did not enjoy the long hiatus that we had in the StarCraft 2 circuit after
sucked,
EWC.
dude.
It was like 10 months between us casting
also,
GSL 2024.
All the people that work in StarCraft have no idea what's going on. It was a really dark time for StarCraft, and we just thought, well, why don't we just make our own tournament? We don't have to wait for someone else to figure this out for us. We could just do it on our own, which is what we did, and it's been amazing. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Is that it? We got anything else to say? All right.
I think that's it, Tasteless.
We did it. We will see you next season, guys, and we will also see you at the Esports World Cup. We love you. Take care. Bye-bye.